Love by Design by Tyla Walker.
Well, don't you look delicious tonight?
Who, me?
Don't play coy, baby. You look good and you know it.
All right, you got me there.
If you want the spicy scenes, or to just listen to these stories without ads or interruption, head over to tylawalker.com.
Use discount code SAVE40 to get a generous 40% discount on any digital product on Miss Tyla's site.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to be notified when a new audiobook is released.
This is Tyla Walker's Love by Design. Chapter 1. Amara. Strutting down Peachtree Street, I feel invincible. My mama always said, if you give a woman a new pair of shoes, she can conquer the world. My new getup, a vibrant ensemble from the latest line by an up-and-coming designer, clings to me like a second skin. The heels, sleek and sky-high, click against the pavement with every confident step. My reflection in the store windows screams, "Boss lady," and I can't help but smile. The coffee cup in my hand is warm against my palm, its rich aroma blending with the city's morning hustle. My boutique, Mari's, waits for me just a few blocks away. The nickname takes me back to childhood summers in Atlanta, playing dress-up with my sister. Now I'm dressing real women for real life. Dodging a couple of tourists gawking at their maps, I keep my pace brisk. "Excuse me," I mutter, not breaking stride. Today's too important for delays. As I near the shop, my phone buzzes in my bag. I juggle the coffee and reach for it, nearly losing balance on these damn fabulous heels. It's a message from my mother. "Good luck today, sweetie. Proud of you." I shoot back a quick thank you and shove the phone away. Can't afford distractions this morning. I've got clients to impress and outfits to sell. The familiar sight of Mari's comes into view. The sleek glass windows showcase mannequins draped in chic attire, each piece a testament to my vision and hard work. I can't help but pause for a moment to admire it. "Hey, you're early." It's Lauren, my assistant, her voice ringing out as she hurries over, with keys jingling in her hand. "Yeah, well," I reply with a grin. "Couldn't let you have all the fun." She unlocks the door and we step inside together. The smell of fresh fabric and the sight of neatly arranged clothes make my heart swell with pride. "You look amazing in that outfit," Lauren says, eyes wide with admiration. "Thanks. It's from the new line we got in yesterday." I do a quick twirl for effect. Feels like it was made just for me. She laughs as she heads toward the register. "Well, if anyone can pull it off, it's you." I place my coffee on the counter and begin organizing some displays. Customers will be arriving soon, eager to see what's new. Today feels different. A buzz of excitement fills the air. With everything in place and Lauren handling early prep tasks like a pro, I take one last look around Mari's before opening time. This is where dreams come true, both mine and those of every woman who walks through these doors. The clock hits 9, showtime. The door chimes as the first few customers trickle in, and I'm all smiles, welcoming them with my usual charm. But as I step outside to adjust the sidewalk display, something catches my eye. A white envelope, bold red letters glaring back at me, is taped to the glass door. Foreclosure notice. My heart stops. The coffee in my stomach churns uncomfortably. I yank the envelope off and tear it open, scanning the contents with a mix of disbelief and mounting panic. Unpaid debts, missed deadlines, impending foreclosure. What the hell is this? I glance back at Lauren through the glass, her cheerful demeanor a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. She's helping a customer, completely unaware of the bombshell I'm holding. "Everything okay?" a voice asks from behind me. I turn to see Mrs. Bennett, one of my regulars. She's clutching a handful of shopping bags and sporting a kind smile that almost undoes me right there on the sidewalk. Yeah," I stammer, quickly shoving the notice into my bag. "Just some business stuff." She nods sympathetically. Well, I hope it's nothing too serious. Your boutique is such a treasure. Thanks, I manage to say, though it feels like my throat is closing up. Come on in. We've got some great new pieces. Mrs. Bennett bustles inside, leaving me alone with my thoughts for a brief moment. I need a plan, fast. Stepping back into the shop, I force a smile and try to push down the rising panic. The vibrant colors and chic designs seem to mock me now, symbols of everything I've built and might lose. Lauren notices something's off immediately. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Just dealing with some unexpected paperwork, I reply as casually as I can manage. Her eyes narrow slightly, but she doesn't press further. Instead, she hands me a stack of invoices that need sorting. As I dive into work, trying to keep my hands steady and my mind focused, every customer interaction feels like an exercise in maintaining composure. Inside, I'm spiraling, but on the outside, I'm still Amara Ellis, fashion designer extraordinaire with everything under control. But this notice, it's a ticking time bomb. And somehow, some way, I've got to defuse it before it blows up everything I've worked so hard for. My fingers tremble as I fumble with my phone. I find my financial advisor's number and press call, my breath hitching with each ring. Hello, this is Cheryl. Her voice comes through, steady and professional. Cheryl, it's Amara. I need to see you. Like now, I blurt out, unable to hide the urgency in my voice. Oh, honey, of course. Come on in. I'll clear my schedule. Thank you, I manage before hanging up. The shop feels like it's closing in on me. I need to get out of here. Lauren, I call, forcing a semblance of calm into my voice as I walk back inside. I need you to hold down the fort for a bit. Her eyes widen slightly. Everything okay? Yep, I'll be back as soon as I can. I grab my purse and head for the door, not waiting for her response. The drive to Cheryl's office is a blur. My mind races with worst-case scenarios, each more catastrophic than the last. When I finally pull into the parking lot, I barely remember how I got there. Cheryl meets me at the door, her face a mask of concern. Amara, come in. I follow her into her office, my heart pounding in my chest. The familiar surroundings do little to calm me. The polished wooden desk, the framed degrees on the wall. They're all just background noise now. What's going on? She asks as we sit down. I hand her the foreclosure notice, unable to speak for a moment as she reads it. Her eyes widen, and she looks up at me with a mixture of shock and pity. Amara, this is serious. I know, I whisper. How did this happen? Cheryl takes a deep breath and begins typing furiously on her computer. The minutes stretch painfully as she examines my accounts, her brow furrowing deeper with each passing second. Finally, she looks up, her expression grave. Honey, it looks like an online hacker got into your accounts. They've all but wiped you out. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. What? How? There's been unauthorized activity, large sums transferred out over the past few weeks, she explains, turning the monitor towards me to show the damning evidence. My head spins as I try to process what she's saying. But how did we miss this? Cheryl shakes her head. They were clever. Small transactions at first. Escalating gradually, it was designed to fly under the radar. I slump back in my chair, feeling utterly defeated. What do we do now? We need to report this immediately and start damage control, Cheryl says firmly, already dialing a number on her phone. As she speaks with someone from the bank's fraud department, all I can think about is Mari's, the boutique that represents everything I've worked for, and how close I am to losing it all. Tears blur my vision, and I try to blink them away, but they keep coming. My shoulders start to shake as the weight of everything crashes down on me. I can't keep it in anymore. I feel utterly powerless. and the dam finally breaks. Cheryl glances up from her call, eyes widening as she sees me falling apart. She hurriedly ends the call, muttering a quick, "I'll get back to you." She crosses the room swiftly and pulls a chair next to mine, placing a comforting hand on my arm. "Amara, honey, it's going to be okay," she says softly. I shake my head, unable to find words. The idea of losing Mari's is like losing a part of myself, my dreams slipping through my fingers. "Look at me," Cheryl urges gently, tilting her head to catch my gaze. Her eyes are filled with warmth and concern. Eyes that have known me since I was a little girl, running around my mama's garden. "I'm so sorry," I manage to choke out between sobs. "I don't know what to do." Cheryl pulls me into a hug, and I cling to her like she's a lifeline. Her embrace is firm and steady, like an anchor in the storm. "You'll figure this out, Amara," she murmurs against my hair. "There's big brains behind all that beauty," she says with a smile. Her words are a balm to my raw emotions, and gradually my sobs begin to subside. I take deep breaths, trying to steady myself. Leaving Cheryl's office feels like stepping out of a bad dream, only the nightmare is far from over. We've done all we can do at the time. Now it's ultimately in the bank's hands from here. I'm in no shape to go back to work and exude joy and confidence to my customers when all I want to do is go home, get in a fetal position, and cry. I take a deep breath and pull out my phone, dialing Lauren's number. "Hey, boss," she answers cheerfully. The background noise of the boutique filters through, a stark contrast to my inner turmoil. "Lauren, I need you to close up shop early today," I say, my voice barely holding steady. "Something came up." "Close early? But we've got—" "Please, just do it," I cut in, fighting the emotion rearing its ugly head again. I hear the concern in her pause. "Okay, Mar, I got it. I'll handle it." "Thanks." I hang up before she can ask any more questions. The weight of the situation presses down on me as I head home. When I step into the apartment, it's quiet. The smell of fresh coffee wafts from the kitchen, and there's Sophie, my best friend and roommate, sitting at the dining table with her laptop. "Hey, you're home early," she says, looking up with a warm smile that fades as soon as she sees my face. "What happened?" I drop my bag on the floor, grab a mug, and pour myself some coffee, and slump into a chair opposite her. I might lose Marie's. Her eyes widen. "What? How?" I explain everything. Cheryl's discovery of the unauthorized transactions, the foreclosure notice, each word feeling like a brick being added to an already unbearable load. Sophie closes her laptop and leans forward, concern etched across her features. "Okay, let's think this through. What can we do to fix this?" "We need money," I say flatly. "A lot of it? Fast?" She taps her fingers on the table, lost in thought. "What about a loan?" "Cheryl's working on it, but it's not guaranteed we'll get it in time." Sophie sighs and rubs her temples. "Crowdfunding? Social media campaign?" "It's possible," I admit, though my voice lacks conviction. "But will it be enough? And can we raise it quickly?" Good point." She bites her lip, clearly frustrated by our lack of options. "Ooh, bank robbery. Or have you ever considered donating an ovary?" I ball up a napkin and throw it at her across the table. "You're an idiot," I say, rolling my eyes. "Hey, I look good in black, and it's stealthy. But come to think about it, orange isn't really my color." The laugh that comes out of me startles myself, let alone Sophie. Prime example of why she is my best friend. She always seems to take some of the edge off when I'm spiraling. The laughter subsides, and the emotional toll hits me all at once. My vision blurs as tears threaten to spill over. The boutique is my dream, Losing it feels like losing a part of myself. She reaches across the table and squeezes my hand gently. "We'll figure something out," she says softly. I shake my head, feeling hopeless for the first time in years. "Hey," Sophie says suddenly, trying to brighten the mood. "Don't forget about the charity gala coming up next week." I look at her blankly. "The one we go to every year?" she prompts with a smile. "It might be just what you need, a break from all this stress and maybe even some networking opportunities." "Networking opportunities for a boutique that's nearing foreclosure?" I say with an odd look. "Well, consider it networking for your vagina then," Sophie says, and I nearly spit out my coffee. "Come on, Amara. It's been far too long since someone has tailored your—" "Shut up, Sophie," I say with a grin as I get up from the table. A small part of me wants to argue that there's no time for galas or breaks right now, but another part knows she's right. Maybe stepping away for a night could help clear my mind. I lean back against the refrigerator door, locking eyes with my roommate. "Okay," I concede finally. "I'll go to the gala."
Chapter 2. Ethan. I would rather have a root canal than attend Wednesday night dinners with my family. It always feels like more of a task than something done out of enjoyment. As I pull up to my parents' brownstone in the Upper East Side, I can already predict the evening's conversation. My father's relentless comments about settling down and sowing my wild oats echo in my mind before I even step out of the car. It's like they're stuck in some time warp, imagining we're still living in some little house on the prairie. Walking up the steps, I take a deep breath. Might as well get this over with. The door swings open and my mother greets me with her usual tight-lipped smile. "Glad you could finally join us, Ethan." "Yeah, well, wouldn't want to miss Dad's sermon," I mutter under my breath. I step inside and immediately spot my father in his usual spot at the head of the dining table. He looks up from his newspaper and nods, barely acknowledging me. The aroma of roast beef and garlic mashed potatoes fills the dining room as I take my seat at the long mahogany table. Mom's polished silverware glints under the chandelier's soft light, and Dad's eyes narrow as he watches me settle in. My brothers, Mark and Kevin, are already deep in conversation about their latest business deals. "Ethan," he says. "Dad," I respond. The tension in the room is palpable. It always is. Dinner begins with small talk. How's work? How's life? But it doesn't take long for my father to dive into his favorite subject. "You know, Ethan," he starts, setting down his fork, "your mother and I were talking about you the other day." "Here we go." "We're just concerned about your future," he continues. "You're not getting any younger. It's time to think about settling down, starting a family." "Dad," I cut him off, already exhausted by the conversation we've had 1,000 times before. "I'm focused on my business right now. You know that." He shakes his head, looking disappointed. "Business isn't everything, son. You need to build a good name for our family." "Right," I reply sarcastically, "because clearly I'm not doing enough already." My mother tries to interject with a soothing tone. "Ethan, we just want what's best for you." "What's best for me?" I laugh bitterly. "Or what's best for your outdated expectations?" Mark chimes in, smug as ever. "Emily and I are renovating an old farmhouse. We're gonna flip it. Those things are going for ridiculous prices nowadays." "And Lauren and I just bought our second vacation home," Kevin adds with a smirk. "Those two have made it their life mission to one-up me ever since high school, when they realized I was pulling girls, and they still weren't." I roll my eyes. "Good for you both. Glad you're finally off the tit, but I'm not interested in getting married just for business." "Ethan," Mom feigns like she doesn't expect these responses from me by now. Dad's jaw tightens. "This isn't just about you. The Caldwell legacy depends on strong alliances. Marriage is a part of that." Mom sighs dramatically, placing a hand on her chest. "Ethan, darling, it's not just about business. It's about family stability." My voice rises despite my efforts to stay calm. "I've built my own company from the ground up. Isn't that enough?" Mark shakes his head. "You know it's not the same thing." I turn to him, eyes blazing. "You might want to use your napkin and wipe that thing off your nose from kissing Dad's ass." "Ethan, language!" Mother scowls. Kevin snickers. "Sounds like someone's feeling insecure." "Oh, kinda like how you felt when your wife went after me first, and I turned her down so she went to you like some pathetic—" "Enough!" Dad slams his hand down on the table. "This is damn near ridiculous. We are family. We're not supposed to be at each other's throats all the time." I can't help but roll my eyes. "We wouldn't be if you would just accept that I'm happy with where I am in life." Dad stands up, towering over me. "Happiness is fleeting. Family legacy is forever." I meet his gaze head on. "Maybe your definition of legacy isn't mine." Mom reaches out to touch my arm, but I pull away. "Ethan, please." "No," I cut her off, standing up myself now. "I'm done being lectured about how to live my life." Silence hangs thick in the air as I push back my chair and stride out of the room, leaving behind a table full of stunned faces and unspoken words. I leave the house and slam the front door behind me. The cold night air hits my face, a stark contrast to the heated argument inside. I walk down the steps and onto the sidewalk, each step heavier than the last. Is this how I pictured my life at 32? Probably not. Sure, I've got a thriving tech company, and I've made a name for myself in the industry. But it all feels hollow when my own family doesn't see it. To them, success isn't just about business. It's about fitting into their perfect mold of what a Caldwell should be. I reach my car and lean against it, looking up at the stars barely visible through the city's light pollution. My thoughts swirl like a storm. They just don't get it. To them, marriage is another business transaction, another way to fortify the Caldwell legacy. But for me, it's supposed to be more than that. Growing up in this family, everything has always been about image and legacy. I remember Dad drilling into us that our name carries weight and expectations. Mark and Kevin embraced it, becoming perfect little clones of Dad's ideals. Me? I wanted more. I glanced back at the house, its windows glowing warmly in the night. Inside those walls are memories of constant pressure. Pressure to excel, pressure to conform, pressure to marry and produce heirs who'll carry on this twisted idea of legacy. Running a hand through my hair, I let out a sigh. They see me as the rebellious one because I chose my own path, because I refused to marry just anyone for the sake of an alliance or family approval. The worst part? Sometimes I wonder if they're right. If all this independence is worth it when it means standing alone against their collective judgment. I climb into my car but don't start it right away. Instead, I sit there, staring at the steering wheel. Am I really happy? Or have I just convinced myself that my version of success is enough? My phone buzzes in my pocket, probably another email or notification from work, but I ignore it for now. In this moment of solitude, away from their scrutinizing eyes and expectations, I feel an odd sense of clarity. I need to live my life on my terms, not theirs. But damn if their voices don't echo in my head every step of the way. While driving home, I can't help but replay the argument in my head. Their expectations are a suffocating weight, and I need a way out, a way to get them off my back for good. As I stare at the city lights, an idea begins to form. It's unconventional, maybe even a little crazy, but desperate times call for desperate measures. What if I hired someone to play the part of my fiancé? Just for a while to get them off my case. It's not like I haven't heard of people doing it before. I chuckle at the absurdity of it. But the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. I could find someone who needs money or is willing to go along with the charade for their own reasons. We'd set clear boundaries, and once my family eases up, we'd call it off. And wouldn't that just light a fire under Daddy Dearest's ass? I can see it now. The thought of it actually makes me feel lighter. For once, I'd be in control of this aspect of my life instead of being dictated by their terms. My phone buzzes again. This time, I pull it out and glance at the screen. A text from Logan, my business partner. Big meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Don't be late. Work always finds a way to intrude on personal crises, but maybe that's what I need. A distraction and a chance to clear my head.
Chapter 3. Amara. The grand ballroom sparkles with chandeliers, the room alive with laughter, and the soft hum of conversation. I tug at my red mermaid dress that I, of course, designed, feeling the satin cling to my curves like a second skin. Sophie grins at me, her eyes twinkling. "Damn, girl, you look like a chocolate Jessica Rabbit tonight," she says, adjusting the strap of her white cocktail dress, also by yours truly. "I'll be your angel, balancing out all that devilish charm you're going to put on display tonight." I laugh, but inside, I'm a bundle of nerves. This gala feels like a last-ditch effort to keep my mind off the boutique's financial disaster. We make our way to the bar, Lila's arm linked through mine. "I need something strong," I murmur as we approach the polished oak counter. "2 martinis, please," Sophie orders before I can even think about it. She nudges me playfully. "You'll thank me later." Before I can respond, Lila spots someone familiar and her face lights up. "Oh my God, that's Brandon from yoga. I'll be right back." I watch her dart across the room, leaving me alone at the bar. The bartender hands me my drink and I take a sip, savoring the cool liquid sliding down my throat. My thoughts drift back to my boutique, and I feel a pang of anxiety tightening in my chest. "Scotch neat," comes a deep voice from beside me. I glance over and freeze. The man standing next to me is stunning, tall with broad shoulders. His jawline could cut glass, and his eyes are an intense shade of blue that seems to pierce right through me. I take another sip of my martini, gathering courage. "Who designed your suit?" I ask, because there is no mistaking something that I've created. He's wearing one of my absolute favorite suits from my men's line. Ethan glances down at his tuxedo, then back at me, looking almost embarrassed. Honestly, I have no idea. My assistant handles the grown-up game of dress-up. I can't help but laugh. "Well, you're wearing it well." He chuckles too, the tension in his shoulders easing. "Thanks. It's not every day you get complimented by a beautiful woman at a charity gala." I decide it's time to reveal my hand. "Hi, I'm Amara Ellis, the designer behind the outfit you're wearing this evening." His eyes widen in genuine surprise. "No way. This is one of my favorite picks so far by my assistant. You're talented." "Thank you," I say, feeling a warm sense of pride mixed with the ongoing stress about my boutique. "Ethan Caldwell, by the way. Can I take a seat?" he asks, motioning to the empty stool next to mine. "Of course, Ethan Caldwell," I respond with a smile. As Ethan and I chat, I find myself relaxing for the first time in weeks. The bartender keeps our drinks coming, and soon I've lost count of how many martinis I've had. Sophie returns, her face flushed with excitement. "Brandon from yoga is hilarious," she gushes. Then notices Ethan, her eyes widen in mock surprise before she makes a rather obscene gesture involving her hand and mouth. I nearly choke on my drink. Ethan raises an eyebrow. "Friend of yours?" "That's Sophie," I say, shaking my head and laughing. "She's got a unique sense of humor." "Clearly," he replies, his lips curving into a smile. She winks at me and disappears into the crowd again. I turn back to Ethan, feeling the warmth of alcohol in his presence. "So tell me more about you," he says, leaning closer. "What's it like running a fashion boutique?" I shrug, trying to keep my tone light. Stressful but rewarding. When things go right, it's like magic. When they don't, I trail off, not wanting to dive into my financial woes right now. He nods sympathetically. I get that. Running a tech company isn't much different. A tech company? I'm impressed, I say with a smile as I take another draw from my martini. Yeah, if only my family thought the same, he says with a sad huff and takes a draw of his scotch. A comfortable silence falls between us again as we watch the crowd. It feels oddly intimate sharing these small observations with him, like we've known each other longer than just one evening. So, Ethan finally says, breaking the silence, what do you usually do for fun when you're not attending galas? I think for a moment, considering how to answer without sounding too stressed or overworked. Well, I like designing things and bringing them to life for the shop honestly. Well, I did until I got thrown a curveball. Now I'm not sure what I'll do for enjoyment. I give a sad laugh into my drink. So what's this curveball life threw at you? He asks after taking a sip of his scotch. I don't know if it's the amount of alcohol in my system or how comfortable Ethan makes me feel, but I just open my mouth and air out all my dirty laundry. My boutique's on the brink of foreclosure, I admit, fingers tracing the rim of my glass. Someone hacked into my accounts and drained everything. It's been a nightmare trying to figure out what to do next. That's rough, he says, nodding sympathetically. It's messed up how someone could have so little of a conscience that they can just take things from hardworking people. My thoughts exactly, I say, polishing off my glass. I have my own kind of curveball I'm dealing with. Well, I'd call it a dodgeball. It's kind of violent and it stings sometimes. I can't help but laugh into my empty glass. My giggling triggers his own, and we're soon both laughing loudly. Go on, Spill, I urge him. My family's been pressuring me to marry for business interests. They don't get that I want to carve my own path. Family expectations can be brutal, I say softly, thinking of my strained relationship with my dad. Tell me about it, he agrees. It feels like no matter what you do, it's never enough. We sit there in silence for a moment, each lost in our own thoughts, but connected by a shared sense of desperation. Any ideas on how you're going to save your boutique? Ethan says finally, breaking the silence with a small smile. Not yet, I admit. But I'm not giving up without a fight. I admire that, he says, his blue eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that makes my pulse quicken. And what about you? I ask. Any plans to get your family off your back? I'm working on it, he says with a smirk that suggests he's got something up his sleeve. His eyes stay locked on mine, and I sense he's processing something. The weight of his gaze is both comforting and unnerving. You know, he says slowly, I might be able to help with your situation. I raise an eyebrow, unsure of where this is going. How so? He leans in closer, lowering his voice. I've obviously got a background in tech and business. Maybe we can figure out a way to trace the hacker, or at least secure your accounts better. I feel a flicker of hope. You really think you can help? It's worth a shot, he replies, shrugging like it's no big deal. My heart races at the thought of finally having some control over this nightmare. That would be amazing. I haven't had any luck with the police or my bank. He reaches inside the pocket of his blazer and hands me a business card. Call my assistant and set up a meeting, he suggests, his tone businesslike but not cold. Bring all the information you have, and we'll go through it together. I nod eagerly. Okay, I definitely will. Thank you, Ethan. We lapse into silence for a moment, almost like we're both prolonging the end of our conversation, the noise of the gala fading into the background as my mind races with possibilities. There's also another angle we could explore, Ethan says, breaking the silence. What do you mean? I ask, curious. Well, he begins, choosing his words carefully. Sometimes businesses need more than just a quick fix. Have you considered finding an investor? Someone who believes in your vision and is willing to back you financially? I bite my lip, considering his suggestion. I have thought about it, but I wouldn't even know where to start looking for an investor. Ethan smiles, a confident gleam in his eyes. That's where I come in. I know people who would jump at the chance to invest in something as unique as your boutique. The idea sends a thrill through me. Could this really be happening? Could Ethan actually help save my boutique? I'd love that, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. Ethan's eyes gleam with an idea. Amara, I have a proposition for you. I tilt my head, intrigued but wary. What kind of proposition? Pretend to be my fiancé, he says, his tone so casual it takes a moment for the words to sink in. I blink, my brain struggling to process. What? Hear me out, he continues, leaning in closer. If you agree to pose as my fiancé, I'll make sure your boutique stays open and that you have money in your bank account. I stare at him, trying to gauge if he's serious. His expression is earnest, and I feel a mix of shock and confusion. Why on earth would you need a fake fiancé? Look at you. The liquor is definitely metabolizing in my bloodstream. My family's been hounding me to settle down, he explains, running a hand through his dark hair. If I show up with a fiancé, they'll get off my back for a while. It buys me time. Time for what? I ask, intrigued. To do things on my own time frame, blaze my own path, he replies confidently. And in return, you'll help save my boutique? I repeat, trying to wrap my head around the offer. Exactly, he confirms. It's mutually beneficial. You get financial security. I get some peace from my family. The absurdity of this and the alcohol flowing through my system causes me to begin to laugh uncontrollably. Where Ethan has usually been following in my drunken banter, he just stares at me like he's awaiting some sort of response. I look at him, then back to the bartender. I'm not drunk enough for this yet. Another round, please.
Chapter 4. Ethan. Amara downs another martini like it's water, and she's stuck in the desert and looks at me, her eyes narrowing with curiosity. Run that by me again. I lean in, keeping my voice low. I propose that you channel your inner actress and pretend to be my wife. It solves both our problems. Her eyebrows shoot up, and I can't help but notice her blush. It could be the alcohol, but I kind of hope it isn't. You can't be serious. Dead serious. Think about it, I say, watching her reaction carefully. You need financial stability to save your boutique, and I need to get my family off my back. It's a win-win. She hesitates, tapping her fingers on the rim of her glass. Your family off your back is worth that big of an investment? Absolutely. They want me to marry someone who fits their mold. There's a dowry over my head like a prize cow, she snorts into her glass. If I marry you, it buys me time to figure out a real solution without their constant pressure. I pause, gauging her interest. Amara looks away for a moment, processing everything I've just said. Her lips press into a thin line as she thinks. You're asking a lot, she finally says. I know it's unconventional, I admit, leaning back slightly. But we both have something the other needs, and it's not like we're strangers anymore. She scoffs softly at that, a small smile playing on her lips despite the seriousness of the situation. We met over an hour ago. True, I concede, but sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures. She shakes her head, taking another sip of her drink before setting it down firmly on the table. This is insane. Maybe, I say, my tone softening just a bit. But think about what you stand to gain. Your boutique stays open, your designs continue to reach people, and you won't lose everything you've worked so hard for. Amara sighs deeply and rubs her temples. The tension is palpable between us as she considers the proposal. There's gotta be something in it for you besides getting your family off your back, she says. Like, are you expecting like 20% in profit? Are you like secretly on Shark Tank or something? I can't help but laugh. No, Amara, my freedom, I say simply. The freedom to run my business without interference and maybe even discover what I actually want out of life. I meet her gaze steadily. We can set terms that protect us both. She bites her lip, clearly torn between skepticism and hope. This isn't just some quick fix, she says finally. This is a huge decision. I know, I reply earnestly, but we're both smart enough to make this work. I watch Amara's face, seeing the whirlwind of emotions playing out in her eyes. It's a gamble, and I know it. I'm asking a stranger to jump off a cliff with me, trusting we'll both land safely. My heart races as I wait for her response. Look, I say, trying to ease the tension. I get that this is risky. Hell, it's risky for me too. But sometimes you've got to take a leap. She studies me, her gaze sharp and calculating. You're really serious about this, aren't you? Serious as a heart attack, I confirm, my voice steady even though inside I'm anything but. Desperate times, remember? Amara lets out a humorless laugh. Desperate times indeed. She takes another sip of her drink, her eyes never leaving mine. I wouldn't be suggesting this if I didn't think we could make it work, I add, leaning forward. She shakes her head slightly, more in disbelief than rejection. And what if it all goes wrong? Then we deal with it, I reply firmly. But doing nothing isn't an option for either of us right now. Amara falls silent again, contemplating the weight of my words. The seconds stretch into what feels like hours. I've built my entire life around my boutique, she says quietly, almost to herself. And I've built mine around avoiding my family's traps, I respond gently. We both stand to lose everything if we don't act. Her eyes meet mine once more, searching for any sign of deceit or ulterior motive. She must find something convincing because she finally nods, albeit hesitantly. Amara's grip on my hand is firm, but her eyes still hold that uncertainty. I can't blame her. This isn't some small decision we're talking about. We walk away from the bar area, finding a quieter corner of the gala. So, she starts, looking up at me with a mixture of resolve and doubt. How exactly do you see this working? I take a deep breath, trying to make my pitch sound as logical as possible. We draft a contract, terms and conditions for both sides. We lay everything out clearly so there are no misunderstandings. Amara crosses her arms, thinking it over. And what about personal space? I mean, are we going to be living together or... Separate residences, I quickly interject. We'll appear together at family events and any public appearances necessary to maintain the facade, but our private lives remain private. She seems to relax a bit at that, but there's still a wariness in her eyes. And how long are we talking about here? Long enough to get my family off my back, I reply honestly. But not forever. We can set an initial term, say 6 months, and then reevaluate. 6 months, she echoes softly, as if testing the words on her tongue. I nod. And during that time, we can figure out ways to ensure both our futures are secure beyond this arrangement. Amara sighs, running a hand through her long hair. She looks around the room for a moment before meeting my gaze again. This is crazy, she says, though there's less resistance in her tone now. I know, I admit with a small smile. But sometimes crazy works. She shakes her head slightly, but finally extends her hand again. All right, Ethan Caldwell. You've got yourself a deal. I take her hand firmly in mine and shake it, sealing our unconventional pact. A strange sense of relief washes over me as we stand there, two desperate souls agreeing to take an insane leap together. "We'll need to start planning right away," I say. Amara nods in agreement. "Yeah, let's make sure we do this right."
Chapter 5. Amara. Ethan texts me the address and time to meet, and my stomach churns with a mix of nerves and excitement. Pulling up to the address, the GPS leads me to an immaculate hotel in town. It screams wealth and opulence, making my boutique seem like a shabby corner store in comparison. The valet takes my car with a polished smile, and I find myself standing in front of an elevator with gleaming gold doors. The ride up feels eternal. When it finally dings at the top floor, my heart skips a beat. I step out into a quiet hallway, plush carpet soft under my heels. Ethan's penthouse door stands before me, solid and imposing. I knock, and when the door swings open, I'm greeted by Ethan in jeans and a t-shirt. He looks relaxed but no less commanding. Glasses rest on his nose, giving him an unexpectedly casual vibe that throws me off balance. I can't help but stare. "Come on in," he says, stepping aside to let me enter. "Thanks," I manage to say, stepping inside and feeling like Alice tumbling into Wonderland. "Drink?" he asks, as he leads me through his spacious living area. The penthouse is stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows offer panoramic views of the city below. "I think I'll stay sober for this," I reply, nerves making my voice sound higher than usual. He laughs, a deep rumble that breaks some of the tension. "Smart move." He heads to the kitchen area and returns with a bottle of water, handing it to me. I take it gratefully and glance around. The space is beautiful but feels empty. Despite its luxury, there's an underlying loneliness to it that tugs at something inside me. "Nice place," I say, trying to fill the silence as we walk over to a sleek leather couch. "It does the job," he shrugs as we sit down. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what's next. "So let's talk details." "Right." He nods, turning serious. "The fake marriage will be legally binding on paper, but purely transactional." "And you'll help save my boutique," I interject, needing that reassurance. "Yes," he confirms. "You'll have financial support from me for as long as this arrangement lasts." I settle onto the sleek leather couch, feeling the tension in my shoulders. Ethan sits across from me, a laptop balanced on his knees. The glow from the screen casts sharp shadows on his face, making his blue eyes seem even more intense. "All right," he begins, fingers poised over the keyboard. "Let's get this down in writing. We need to be clear about what we're each getting out of this." I nod, my mouth suddenly dry. "Agreed." "So," he types quickly, "we'll start with the financial support for your boutique. I'll cover all expenses to keep it afloat and fund any necessary improvements. And in return," I add, trying to keep my voice steady, "I agree to enter into a marriage with you. It's purely for show, right? No other expectations." "Exactly," he confirms, glancing up at me with a reassuring smile. "We'll maintain separate living arrangements unless absolutely necessary for appearances." I can't help but feel a wave of relief wash over me. "Okay, and what about public events? How often do we need to be seen together?" "Regularly," he admits, "to make it believable, but we'll schedule those around your work commitments." He continues typing as we talk, adding details about social media appearances and joint statements to the press if needed. Every keystroke feels like a step further into uncharted territory. "What about personal boundaries?" I ask cautiously. "We'll respect each other's privacy," he replies without hesitation. "No intrusion into personal lives beyond what's required for the charade." I nod again, feeling slightly more at ease. And what happens if one of us wants out? He pauses, considering my question before typing again. We'll include a clause for termination by mutual consent. If either party wants to end the arrangement prematurely, we'll handle it discreetly and professionally. As he types out the final terms, I watch him closely. There's a determination in his eyes that mirrors my own desperation. It's strange how our vastly different worlds have collided in this way. Anything else? He asks, looking up from the screen. I think that covers it, I say softly. Ethan turns the laptop towards me so I can read through the draft contract. The words on the screen solidify our unusual pact, two strangers bound together by necessity rather than love. This looks comprehensive, I murmur. It needs to be, he replies firmly. We both have a lot at stake. I take a deep breath and reach for the pen beside the laptop. My hand hovers over the paper as reality sinks in. Ready? Ethan asks quietly. I meet his gaze and nod. Ready. Ethan presses print and walks over to the printer and retrieves the documents. He hands me a pen, and I'm not sure if it's excitement or nerves that makes me suddenly nauseous. I sign the document with a steady hand, though my heart races. Ethan takes the contract, places it in a folder, and sets it aside. There's something else we need to discuss, he says, leaning back against the couch. What's that? I ask, curiosity piqued. Who we disclose this arrangement to, he states, blue eyes locked onto mine. I nod slowly. That makes sense. I mean, obviously my parents and close friends will have to know I'm getting married, so to speak. Obviously not the details, but as far as your family, I know we haven't really discussed them much, he says. No, it's totally fine. If anything, I'll just refer to you as my boyfriend, I say awkwardly. Good. That's definitely more believable. I have to catch myself from laughing out loud. Me with a boyfriend? Believable? That's a joke. My basement probably has as many cobwebs as his grandma's attic. I snap myself out of my current mental image. I will have to tell Sophie, though. She's my roommate, my best friend. She has the ability to see through my lies if I don't tell her the truth, I say. But she wouldn't dare tell a soul. If I told her we had plans to murder a cartel to get the money to save the boutique, then she would offer to drive the getaway car. He chuckles softly. She sounds like a wonderful friend. If you trust that she will keep it hush-hush, then I trust you. I can't help but smile with his admission that he trusts me. But anyone else? We keep it simple, I suggest. We tell them we met at the gala and hit it off. Keep details vague but consistent. That could work, he agrees, tapping his chin thoughtfully. But what about when they start asking more questions? People will want specifics. We'll need a backstory, I realize. Something believable but not too detailed, just enough to satisfy their curiosity. All right, he nods, eyes narrowing in thought. How about we met at the gala, had an instant connection, and decided to give it a shot? I smile despite myself. That sounds almost romantic. Almost, he smirks. We'll keep it light on the romance part for now. Agreed. I take another sip of water, mulling over the plan. What about family gatherings? Holidays? We'll need to attend together, he says with a grimace. My family expects it. Same here, I sigh. But we can manage that. Just keep our stories straight. He nods again, his expression serious. And if anyone gets too nosy, we deflect, I finish for him. Change the subject or play coy. You're quick on your feet, he notes with a hint of admiration. I have to be in my line of work. I shrug. We sit in silence for a moment, both contemplating the complexities of our charade. It won't be easy, he says finally, No, I agree softly. But it's necessary. Ethan reaches out and places his hand over mine briefly, a silent pact between us. We've got this, he says firmly. Yeah, I reply with a small smile. We do. Ethan shifts in his seat, a flicker of hesitation crossing his features. Last but not least, there's one final thing we failed to address, he begins, voice low and serious. My stomach twists. What's that? He leans forward, elbows resting on his knees. Physical affection. We need to appear convincing. The words hang in the air, heavy and charged. I swallow hard, trying to keep my composure. You mean, like holding hands? Kissing? Yeah, he confirms, eyes locked onto mine. If we need to practice so it feels more natural, we can. I can feel my pulse quicken at the thought. The idea of being close to him, really close, makes my head spin. Practice? I echo, trying to mask the tremor in my voice. Yeah, he says, his gaze unwavering. It's just for show, but we need to make it look like it's natural. Natural. Right. As if that's possible with the way my heart is racing. I don't know, I begin, my voice trailing off as I struggle to find the right words. Ethan reaches out, taking my hand in his. His touch is warm, steadying. We can take it slow, he offers, his tone softer now. Just small steps. I glance down at our joined hands, a surge of electricity coursing through me. It's impossible to ignore the pull between us, the undeniable chemistry. Okay, I breathe out, barely audible. He gives a reassuring squeeze before letting go and standing up. Let's start with something simple, he suggests. I nod and stand too, feeling like I'm on autopilot as I move closer to him. Hand on my shoulder, he instructs gently. I follow his lead, placing my hand on his broad shoulder. His skin is warm under my touch. Now I'll put my arm around your waist, he says softly. As his arm encircles me, I can't help but lean into him slightly. The closeness is intoxicating. How does that feel? He asks, eyes searching mine for any sign of discomfort. Surprisingly? Okay, I admit with a nervous laugh. Good, he murmurs, his voice low and soothing. Now for the hard part. He leans in slowly, giving me time to pull back if I want to. But instead of retreating, I find myself inching closer too. Just before our lips meet, panic sets in. This is too real, too intense. I need a minute, I stammer, stepping back abruptly. Ethan looks taken aback, but nods understandingly. Of course. Without another word, I turn and dart out of the penthouse, heart pounding wildly as the door clicks shut behind me. The elevator ride down feels like an eternity, the mirrored walls reflecting my wide-eyed panic. As soon as the doors slide open, I hurry across the lobby and out into the crisp evening air. The valet spots me and brings my car around with practiced efficiency. Thank you, I mumble, sliding into the driver's seat. My hands grip the steering wheel as I take a moment to steady my breathing. Pulling out of the driveway, I navigate through the city streets on autopilot. The reality of our arrangement crashes over me like a tidal wave. A fake marriage, physical affection, public appearances. It's overwhelming, but there's no turning back now. My phone vibrates in the cup holder, and I glance at the screen. Messages from Ethan. I know I should read them, but right now I need a moment to process everything without his intensity clouding my thoughts. I pull into a quiet parking lot and turn off the engine. Leaning back in my seat, I close my eyes and take a few deep breaths. This is it. My boutique's future hinges on this charade. I need to be strong, composed, and above all, convincing. I pick up my phone and unlock it with a swipe of my thumb. Ethan's messages pop up on the screen. "Hey, you okay? Sorry if that was too much too soon. We'll take it slow." His concern is evident, and it softens some of the anxiety knotting in my stomach. I type a quick response. "I'm okay, just needed a breather." The reply comes almost instantly. "Take all the time you need." I let out a shaky breath, feeling slightly more grounded. It's clear that Ethan understands the gravity of our situation as much as I do. Another message follows. "Let's meet tomorrow to go over our backstory." I hesitate before typing back. "Okay, tomorrow works." My thumb hovers over the send button for a second before pressing it firmly. As I sit there in my car, surrounded by silence and shadows, I try to mentally prepare for what lies ahead. The facade of our relationship will be challenging to maintain, but it's necessary for both our sakes. With one final deep breath, I start the engine again and head home. Tomorrow brings new challenges, but tonight is for gathering strength, for both Ethan and me.
Chapter 6. Ethan. I glance around the living room of my penthouse, making sure everything is in place. The table is set with fine china, candles flicker softly, and the aroma of roasted lamb fills the air. Amara stands by the kitchen island adjusting a platter of appetizers. Her eyes meet mine and she gives me a small nod. "Think they'll buy it?" she asks, arranging the olives in a perfect circle. "They better," I reply, running a hand through my hair. "We need this to look real." A few days ago, I sent out a group message to a few of my closest friends, who happen to be the guys I work with, considering work is how I spend most of my time anyway. I invited them to a small gathering at the penthouse, where I wanted them to meet my new girlfriend. To say they were surprised was an understatement, Jameson even going as far as asking if this girlfriend has plastic parts. I think over half of them are expecting this to be some kind of joke, but I won't say I'm not eager to see the look on their faces when they see Amara. The doorbell rings and I stride over to open it. My friends file in, greeting us with warm smiles and curious eyes. My best friend since college, Sean, claps me on the shoulder. "Nice place you got here, Ethan." "You act like you've never passed out drunk on my couch," I say with an eye roll, leading them to the living room. "Everyone please make yourselves at home." It doesn't take long for our guest to notice the beautiful woman trying to remain in the shadows in the kitchen. I approach her and wrap my arm around her waist, pulling her towards me. I almost expect her to flinch or pull away, but she doesn't. "Everyone, I'd like you to meet Amara. Amara, this is the majority of people I spend my time with both inside and outside of work." She laughs and waves bashfully. "It's very nice to meet you. I've heard so much about you all." Cole, my vice president of sales, opens his mouth, which happens to be full of cheese and crackers he's already nabbed from the appetizer plate. "Funny. We haven't heard very much about you at all, Ethan. Keep you locked away in here?" She laughs nervously, and I intervene, anticipating she may not know how to handle Cole's dry humor. "Yes, I've been hiding her from you, Cole. I can't risk her leaving me for you. She has a thing for short guys with receding hairlines." The whole room erupts in laughter, including Amara. Cole grins, used to the many years of insults we've hurled at each other. "I don't know what you see in him," he says. "He's an asshole." Amara laughs. "Come, Cole, tell me more about Ethan's asshole ways," she says, as she pats me on the shoulder and goes to entertain Cole. She is killing it already, and some of my nervousness seems to suddenly subside. She moves gracefully among our guests, offering drinks and engaging in small talk. She fits into this world seamlessly, like she was born for it. I catch her laughing with Jenny, my colleague's wife. Her smiles seem genuine, even though I know she's putting on a show. We finally gather around the table, plates piled high with food. The banter dies down as we begin to start stuffing our mouth with food. "So, how did you two meet?" Jenny asks, her eyes twinkling with curiosity. Amara jumps in before I can answer. At a charity gala, she says smoothly. Ethan was wearing one of my designs. Oh my God, you're a designer. Did you design what you're wearing tonight? Jenny questions enthusiastically. Actually, yes. Amara smiles a megawatt smile. I own Mira's downtown. Have you heard of it? Have I heard of it? My cousin spends her entire paycheck there, Jenny exclaims. Seeing the pride in Amara's face is something I wish I could take a picture of and capture it, just to show her. Well, be sure to tell her I appreciate her business. If you guys ever stop by together, I'll be sure to take good care of you, she says with a smile. The night continues with more laughter and stories. Amara and I share glances that speak volumes about our unspoken pact. At one point, she leans in close to whisper in my ear. We're doing great, she says softly. I never doubted us, I reply with a grin. The dinner party flows effortlessly. Plates are cleared away and dessert is served, an elaborate chocolate cake that Amara claims to have baked herself. In all actuality, it came from Trader Joe's, but they don't have to know that. Jenny takes a bite and moans appreciatively. This is amazing. Amara smiles modestly. Thanks. I had some help from Ethan. I chuckle and nod. I mostly just watched. Sean raises an eyebrow at me as he finishes his cake. Never thought I'd see the day you got all domesticated. I shrug casually, but feel the weight of his words linger between us, like a challenge accepted but not fully embraced yet. Sometimes the best things catch you off guard, I say with a smile. And speaking of off guard, I'd like to make an announcement. Oh, Jameson says behind a mouthful of mashed potatoes. He got her pregnant. Every head at the dinner table turns my way, eyes wide with speculation. Amara looks as if she might lose her dinner at any moment. She glances at me, a hint of uncertainty flickering in her eyes. I squeeze her hand beneath the table, reassuring her. No, nothing that drastic. But we are getting married. Gasps and open mouths ripple through the group, the response even more shocked than a suspected pregnancy. Jenny is the first to speak up. She claps her hands excitedly. Fiancé? Wow. When did this happen? Just a few weeks ago, I say smoothly, keeping my gaze locked on Amara's face. She beams at the attention, but I notice the way she tenses up slightly. And how long did you guys know each other prior? Sean asks, leaning back with a lock of concern. Does that really matter? When you know, you know. I look longingly at Amara, trying to see if I notice my head sweating in the reflection of her eyes. Jenny eyes Sean across the table, secretly willing him to say the right answer or else. I suppose you do, he finally responds, which seems to satisfy Jenny. How about a toast? I propose, raising my glass, a last-ditch attempt to remedy the awkwardness. Everyone lifts their drinks as I say, to love and new beginnings. The glasses clink together loudly amid laughter and cheers. As we sip our drinks, I notice how Amara's fingers have intertwined with mine, a small public display that feels oddly intimate in front of my friends. It's just a casual touch, but there's electricity sparking between us that makes me lean closer. I lean back in my chair, letting the chatter wash over me while stealing glances at Amara. She laughs easily, engaging with my friends as if she's known them forever. The way she lights up the room makes me forget about the charade we're playing. It's all a facade, but I can't help enjoying the attention she gives me, more than I think I should. Ethan, you better not be making her do all your laundry, Cole teases, raising an eyebrow as he gestures between us. I smirk. I can't help it if she looks better in the maid outfit than the actual maid. Amara shoots me a playful glare but bites her lip to stifle a laugh. The tension lingers, though. There's an undercurrent of scrutiny that hangs heavy in the air. You guys are seriously the cutest. It seems so easy between you two, almost like it's rehearsed, Jenny chimes in, tilting her head with a sly smile. Is this real life? The question hangs there like a brick dropped in water, sending ripples through our act. I look at Sean and he is staring straight at me, like he expected me to look in his direction. My heart races as I glance at Amara, her eyes darting away for a brief moment before locking onto mine again. Rehearsed? I say with forced casualness. No way. It's just how well we complement each other. Right, Amara adds too quickly, and it's clear from her slight hesitation that she feels the pressure too. But do you ever think your relationship feels a bit forced? Sean presses, crossing his arms as he leans back in his chair. I mean, like you feel like you have to put in the extra effort to get to know the other person, since your engagement was so spontaneous. He eyes me curiously, and now is the time I wish he hadn't known me since college. If anyone could see through my lies, it's Sean. Amara and I exchange another glance. A mix of panic and determination flashes between us. We both open our mouths to respond simultaneously. It's just a little overwhelming, wanting to make a good impression with Ethan's friends, Amara says quickly. Yeah, I jump in. You know how these things go, Sean. We stumble over our words like amateurs on stage while trying to maintain our composure. The more they poke at us, the tighter my chest gets. Amara and I keep speaking at the same time, trying to keep our stories straight. My heart races, and I can tell from her eyes that she's feeling the pressure too. Amara's laughter bubbles up, but it feels forced. She glances at me, and I catch a flicker of panic in her expression. This isn't how I wanted tonight to go down. I'm going to grab another bottle of wine from the cooler since we're about out, she says suddenly. I watch her stand up and try to convey a silent plea with my eyes. This is getting out of hand. We need to regroup. Will you grab the Cheval Blanc 1947? I ask, my voice steady despite the chaos swirling around us. She tilts her head slightly, a confused glint in her eye. You best just come with me. I don't want to grab the wrong thing. Her response makes me smile despite the situation. We both rise from the table as if we're two performers exiting stage left after a botched act. We'll be right back with more wine, I announce to everyone in an exaggerated tone that feels more like a cue than anything else.
Chapter 7. Amara. The laughter and chatter of our friends fade as Ethan and I slip into the dimly lit kitchen. The air smells like roasted garlic and fresh herbs, but all I can focus on is the awkward tension lingering in the air. What was that back there? I lean against the counter, crossing my arms. Ethan opens the wine fridge, pulling out the bottle of red wine we went to fetch. Just a little rough patch. He pops the cork with a satisfying pop, but his eyes narrow slightly. I watch him pour 2 glasses, the rich liquid swirling inside like my thoughts, confused and chaotic. They're going to see right through us if we keep stuttering and screwing up. Try to relax. They're like wild animals. They can smell fear, he says, handing me a glass with a steady hand. The moment passes, and I take a deep breath, trying to shake off the unexpected heat in the air. Suddenly, Ethan sets his glass down with a sharp click that echoes through the kitchen. I just can't believe they'd question us like that. His jaw tightens, and I watch the tension ripple through him. I step back slightly, surprised by this side of him. They're just concerned for you, Ethan. Concerned? His voice rises, filling the small space between us. More like nosy. They have no idea what we're dealing with. They're just like my family. Hey, I say softly, trying to calm him down. They're your friends. They're probably just trying to protect you. I take a sip of the wine, letting the warmth wash over me. But it does little to ease the knot tightening in my stomach. Ethan leans against the counter, his jaw tense. You know what really pisses me off? I raise an eyebrow, intrigued. What's that? The hypocrisy. He runs a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling just below the surface. They doubt us. They think this whole thing is a joke. It's a little unconventional, I admit, not entirely sure how to navigate this conversation. Unconventional? Sure, he snaps, his voice sharper than I expect. But no one doubted Sean when he said Jenny felt like more than just an assistant. Look at them now, married and happy. I nod slowly. Ethan, that's a little different. Why? He pushes off the counter, stepping closer. The intensity in his blue eyes catches me off guard. They believed in him right away. They see what they want to see. I can feel the air between us crackling with tension, and I struggle to keep my voice steady. Maybe they just know him better. Or maybe they don't know me at all, he snaps back, fists clenching at his sides. Okay, I say softly, trying to diffuse the moment. But you know this isn't exactly typical behavior for either of us. Ethan exhales sharply through his nose, frustration rolling off him in waves. And that's exactly why it should make sense. He steps back, running a hand over his face like he's trying to clear his thoughts. You're right, I agree quietly, hoping to bring him back down from whatever ledge he's teetering on. I feel a mix of fear and excitement at his anger. It's raw and unfiltered in a way I've never seen before. He pushes off from the counter, closing the distance between us. My pulse quickens. Before the end of the night, they're going to know how serious this is to me. He continues, his voice lower now but no less fierce. There's something undeniably attractive about his passion. His determination makes my insides twist. It's hard to ignore how striking he looks when he's riled up. It pulls at something deep inside me. We're doing this for each other, he says earnestly, dropping any pretense now. We deserve a break every now and again, right? Right. I swallow hard as awareness washes over me. The way his strong jaw clenches and those blue eyes darken gives me butterflies I didn't ask for. He takes a breath and tries to rein it in, but fails to mask that intensity. We can't let this derail us. I nod slowly, caught off guard by how much I like seeing him like this. So unapologetically fierce and ready to defend what matters to him. It sends a thrill through me I can't quite explain. And suddenly, all those earlier feelings of doubt begin to swirl into something else entirely. The air between us crackles, heavy with unspoken words and a tension I can't quite place. Ethan's intensity lingers in the space around us, making it hard to breathe. I want to lean into that energy, to explore the undeniable connection sparking between us, but I shake my head at the thought. Thanks for the pep talk, I manage, forcing a smile even though my heart races at his closeness. I really appreciate it. He opens his mouth as if to say more, but I can't stand here any longer. Caught up in this moment where everything feels too real and too complicated. I step back, putting distance between us, even as my body screams to stay close. We should get back to the party, I say quickly. Amara? His voice carries an edge of frustration that makes me pause for just a second. No. The word slips out before I think better of it. We can't get sidetracked. We have our roles to play, remember? He studies me with those piercing blue eyes, and for a brief moment, the world around us fades away. But then reality crashes back in. He's my partner in this charade, a means to an end. I turn on my heel and stride toward the door, feeling the weight of his gaze on my back like a tangible force. Each step feels heavier, as if I'm dragging something behind me. My confusion, my longing, and a sense of loss. As I re-enter the living room, laughter bubbles up from our guests, brightening the atmosphere instantly. Their smiles greet me like a warm embrace. But underneath it all, I feel that tension still thrumming in my veins. Hey, where'd you two disappear to, get locked in the wine cooler together? Jenny nudges me with a teasing grin. I can't help but press my legs together underneath my dress at that mental image. I wish. Ethan says I'm a little too loud for guests' ears. I say lightly with a wink, trying to keep my tone casual while desperately fighting against the turmoil inside me. "Ooh, I see," Jenny says as she raises an eyebrow but moves on. My heart races as I scan the room for Ethan. He stands by the bar now, engaged in conversation but casting glances my way every so often. But as their laughter fills my ears again, all I can think about is how easily that spark between Ethan and me ignites when we're alone. How much deeper it goes than this fake relationship we're trying to maintain. And just like that, amidst the laughter and warmth of our friends surrounding me, there's an unmistakable chill in my heart, reminding me he's not really mine to have at all.
Chapter 8. Ethan. The dinner party drags into the early hours. Amara stumbles over her words more than once, her nerves unraveling with each drink. By the time the last guest leaves, she leans against the wall, laughter bubbling out between hiccups. I know that look. It's a cocktail of embarrassment and desperation. "Hey," I say, guiding her toward the guest bedroom. "You can't drive like this." "I'm fine," she insists, but I can see she's teetering on the edge of tipsy and outright drunk. I leave a pair of gym shorts and a t-shirt on the bed. "Just shower and sleep it off," I suggest. She nods, disappearing into the bathroom while I clean up the remnants of our charade. Morning breaks too soon. Sunlight spills into my room as the ringing of a phone continues to blare from what seems like the kitchen. I shuffle downstairs, still groggy from sleep, and spot Amara's phone flashing insistently. 10 missed calls from Sophie, and 8 text messages piling up in a thread that screams urgent from someone named Lorne. Curiosity gnaws at me. I don't want to pry, but this feels important. "Damn it," I mutter under my breath. I knock on the door, expecting Amara to stir. When silence stretches out, I figure she's still passed out. "Amara?" I call, but there's no response. I take it upon myself to let myself in. Just as I step inside, the bathroom door swings open, and there she is, wrapped in a towel that clings to her body like a second skin. My breath catches in my throat. She freezes, eyes wide as they dart to me, and instinctively tries to cover herself more securely. "What the hell are you doing in here?" Your phone's been blowing up." I can't tear my gaze away from her wet hair, drops of water cascading over her trim shoulders. "Sophie's called like 10 times. She reaches for her phone in my outstretched hand and begins scrolling through the barrage of messages with trembling fingers. The tension shifts in the room. I can feel it tightening around us. "Oh no," she whispers, voice suddenly small. "What's wrong?" I step closer, drawn into her worry like a moth to flame. She flops down on the bed, head buried in her hands. "Oh no, please no." I brace myself against the doorframe, feeling like an intruder even though this is my house. "Amara?" "The boutique." Her voice trembles as she peeks up at me from between her fingers. "What happened?" My heart races now. I don't like this change in her demeanor. "Sophie and Lauren were trying to reach me because..." She inhales sharply and sits up straight, a mixture of disbelief and distress flooding her features. "Someone broke in last night." My gut twists at the news. "Broke in?" "Yeah." She glances at her phone again before dropping it onto the bed with a soft thud. "They vandalized some of my designs, and probably stole a few of my new ideas." The air thickens with uncertainty and dread as I process what that means for her business. And for us. Panic radiates off Amara as she jumps up and starts darting around the room. Her towel slips slightly and she pulls it tighter, not even glancing at me. I can feel the tension crawling under my skin. "Damn it," she mutters, shoving a pair of shoes aside in frustration. "I can't just show up in a towel." "Amara," I say, trying to keep my voice steady. "I don't have time to go home for something decent," she snaps, then pauses to catch her breath, rubbing her temples. "I just need something. Anything." Without thinking, I bolt toward my room and yank open my closet. I grab an old t-shirt and a pair of sweatpants. Way too big for her, but they'll have to do. When I return, Amara's still in chaos mode, pacing, her fingers flying across her phone screen. I toss the shirt and pants on the bed. Here. She glances at them briefly before shaking her head. Thank you. She sighs heavily but snatches the clothes off the bed, already slipping on the t-shirt while still gripping her towel with one hand. It swallows her frame completely, making her look even smaller. I'll be fine, she says when she catches me watching. I just need to assess the damage myself. Are you sure? I can come with you, I offer. No. She shakes her head vigorously, hair flying in all directions. I need to gauge this alone. Amara. I'll call with updates as soon as I know anything, she insists, determination settling into her features despite the worry etched across them. Okay. I nod slowly but step closer again. But you're too torn up to drive. Let my driver take you. She opens her mouth to argue but then shuts it tight, letting out a small breath of defeat instead. Fine. I leave the room and return to my own to allow her to get dressed in private. Moments later, I hear the sound of the front door closing. I'm hunched over my desk, the hum of the city outside barely registering. Papers scatter across the surface, a jigsaw puzzle of spreadsheets and proposals. I flip through them, half-focused, when my phone vibrates. Amara's name lights up. Hey, how is it? Not good, Ethan. Not good at all. Her voice cracks and I feel the punch in my gut. Tell me. She breaks down, sobs spilling through the line like shattered glass. They vandalized everything. My designs. I leap up, tossing aside the papers. Amara, listen to me. Whatever it is, we can fix it. At least no one was there and got hurt. I keep my tone steady even as panic coils in my chest. I know. I have to go, she stammers between sobs. I've got to call the police and make some kind of report. Hang tight, I say, urgency creeping into my voice as she hangs up. The call disconnects and silence fills the room like a thick fog. I glance at her keys sitting on the table. They shine like a beacon in this moment of chaos. I rush to get dressed, every movement fueled by determination and concern for her well-being. Time doesn't exist. It stretches and contracts around me while I focus on getting to her. Once I'm finally ready, I grab her keys and sprint out the door. The cool air greets me as I step into her car, a sleek little thing that's always been a reflection of her style. I fire up the engine and peel out onto the street, navigating through traffic like a man on a mission. My heart races alongside my thoughts. Each intersection feels like an eternity as I envision Amara alone in that boutique, surrounded by broken dreams and stolen ideas. The weight of our situation presses down hard, but I push through it. She needs me now more than ever. I pull up outside the boutique and my heart sinks at the sight. Glass shards litter the ground, twinkling under the streetlights like cruel little stars. I push through the door, and the air thickens with an unsettling silence. Amara stands in the center of the room, her shoulders slumped as she stares at the chaos around her. For a moment she looks lost, like a ship adrift in a storm. But then she glances up, and something shifts. A flicker of relief crosses her face when our eyes meet. Ethan! She rushes toward me, arms opening wide. I catch her in an embrace, my instincts kicking in. Hey! I murmur into her hair, inhaling the scent of her shampoo, citrusy and bright. You didn't have to come. She pulls back slightly but keeps her hands on my arms, grounding herself. Of course I did. I survey the damage, fabric strewn everywhere, sketches torn apart like they were nothing. Anger simmers just beneath my skin. Come on, let's get to work. Seems you could use another hand. We dive into the mess together, shoving broken glass into a box and gathering scraps of fabric that can still be salvaged. Each piece feels like a part of her heart lying there among the debris. As we work side by side, I catch glimpses of Amara's determination flickering out. She picks up a torn sketch and examines it with narrowed eyes. I had so many ideas for this collection, she says softly, almost to herself. Who would do this? I ask, my voice steady despite the turmoil churning inside me. I honestly don't know. She sighs and tosses another scrap into the box with frustration. Maybe someone is jealous? It could be anyone. We'll figure it out. I want to sound reassuring, but know it won't be easy. Have you thought about security cameras? She nods slowly. I was planning to install some once I saved some money up. You need them now more than ever. I pull out my phone and start searching for local security companies while she paces nearby. I know the boutique is important to you, I reply without looking up, but your safety is more important. She pauses, surprise flickering across her features before it morphs into something softer. Gratitude mingled with relief. I can't keep it open like this, she says, her voice steady despite the weight of despair I know she's feeling. I'll need to close it for a few days. I pause, a box of broken glass in my hands. And that's perfectly okay. People will understand. She nods slowly. Thank you for being here. You don't have to help me with this. Yeah, well, we're in this together. I shrug, my casual demeanor trying to mask an underlying seriousness that makes my pulse race. I step back and watch her as she surveys the wreckage and glances around one last time before flipping the sign on the door from open to closed. The sound of that simple click resonates louder than I expect, a declaration that for now, this space belongs to her healing rather than business. She stands there looking out the door into the bustling street ahead. It's as if she's waiting for something, an acknowledgement, or perhaps a sign that everything will be okay. And for both of our sakes, I hope she finds one.
Chapter 9. Amara. I crouch on the floor of my boutique, knee-deep in drywall dust, the air thick with an earthy scent. My hands move rhythmically, sanding the damaged wall, where a vandal's careless destruction left its mark. Each stroke is a small victory, a promise that I'll rebuild what was lost. Sweat beads at my temples as I focus, but the peace shatters when my phone buzzes. I wipe my hands on my jeans and grab it off the counter. Hey, I answer, taking a deep breath to shake off the dust. Hey, what are you up to? Ethan's voice cuts through the static. Just working on getting this place personable again. I pause for a moment, brushing my hair back from my face. So I just got off the phone with my dad, he says, amusement lacing his tone. Oh, that can't be good? I chuckle lightly, hoping for some lighthearted banter. You have no idea, he groans dramatically. He was surprised to learn his son is engaged. Apparently, Sean ran into them at some golf tournament and they got to talking. I stop sanding and lean against the wall, a smile creeping across my lips. No way. What did he say? Well, he asked how they liked their soon-to-be daughter-in-law. Laughter bubbles up inside me. Your dad must be thrilled. Thrilled is not exactly how I'd describe it, he replies, sarcasm dripping from each word. Apparently, they are hurt that I didn't feel the need to include them in such a pivotal moment in my life. I picture Ethan's parents' expressions, both overly concerned and confused, wondering who in the world would be bold enough to take their son off the market. It feels terrifying, yet exciting at the same time. I lean against the wall, my heart racing as Ethan's voice flows through the phone. So naturally, I called Sean right after that little revelation, he says, his tone a mix of annoyance and amusement. And what did he say? I ask, a grin tugging at my lips. Let's just say my dad bombarded him with questions, like a freaking interrogation, he replies, laughter bubbling up in his voice. Sean didn't know half the stuff my dad wanted to know. What kind of questions was he asking? My curiosity peaks as I imagine Sean fumbling through an endless barrage of inquiries, It's not like he's our biggest adversary in the credibility department as it is. Everything from how we met to whether we're planning a wedding soon, Ethan scoffs. And when it ended, Dad threw out some parting comment about hoping this isn't just some harebrained idea I had to get them off my back. I chuckle, shaking my head. Your dad sounds like a piece of work. He really is. His sigh fills the air between us. I expected nothing less. Truthfully, I thought I would have heard from him way before now. So now what? I ask, curiosity mixing with concern. I suppose we better start preparing for the family meet and greet, I tease. About that, he starts, hesitation in his voice. Ethan, what have you done? I can't help but snicker, picturing his face right now feigning innocence. They expect us to attend Wednesday night dinner at 5. I swear my stomach drops. Ethan, that's tomorrow, I shriek. Yes, I assure you I can read a calendar, Amara. Smartass, I reply with an eye roll. I hear his laughter from across the line. So please tell me you have plans with me tomorrow. I don't really have much of a choice now, do I? I say, dusting off my jeans. Not really, but don't fret, Amara. Everyone gets nervous the first time they meet their in-laws, he snickers. Oh, shut up, I reply, tossing my mud bucket and tools to the side. I'll pick you up tomorrow around 5:30, he asks. You literally just said dinner was at 5, I retort. In this whole time I have said that we have to make things believable as possible, so me arriving an hour late with a bad attitude is my normal. I'll just have a +1 this time. Goodbye, Ethan. I'll see you tomorrow, I say with a grin. Goodbye, fiancé, he says jokingly, and I can't help but notice the butterflies that follow that comment. Wait, I say frantically, hoping he hasn't hung up. What do I wear? His husky laughter filters through the phone. Amara, you're the fashion designer. Anything you own, I'm sure will be fine. Now go practice your lines. See you tomorrow. And with that, he hangs up. I stand in front of the mirror, my heart racing as I adjust the collar of my blouse. The fabric hugs me just right, a soft blush color that complements my skin. My hair cascades in gentle waves, framing my face perfectly. I give myself one last look and take a deep breath. A knock on the door startles me from my thoughts. Hey, it's me, Ethan calls from outside. I open the door and there he stands, casual yet effortlessly handsome in a fitted polo and jeans that showcase his athletic build. His blue eyes widen when they land on me. Wow, he says, taking a step closer. You look stunning. Thanks, I reply, trying to suppress the flutter in my stomach at his compliment. You clean up pretty well yourself. He grins. But there's something more beneath his casual demeanor, a hint of tension that matches my own. As we head to his parents' house, the nerves build with every passing block. My mind races with what lies ahead. When we finally arrive at the looming mansion on the hill, Ethan's mother answers the door, looking every bit of a Stepford wife. Amara, she exclaims before enveloping me in an enthusiastic hug. I freeze for a moment, taken off guard by her warmth. Her embrace is genuine but leaves me slightly uncomfortable, as if she's welcoming me into something bigger than myself. It's so lovely to meet you. Come in, come in. She steps aside and gestures us inside, leading us to the dining room table set with meticulous care. As we walk in, Ethan's father rises from his seat with an air of authority that makes me uneasy. He scrutinizes me for a moment before extending his hand. Welcome to our home, he says coolly, shaking my hand with an iron grip that speaks volumes about his character. Thank you for having me, I manage to reply, forcing a smile while feeling scrutinized under his piercing gaze. Dinner starts out pleasant enough, but soon after we settle in at the table, Ethan's father wastes no time diving into personal questions. So, Amara, he begins with an unsettling directness. What exactly do you do? Ethan shoots me a glance that feels both protective and warning all at once. I brace myself for what comes next, knowing this dinner is supposed to prove our relationship is real and quell any rumors floating around about us. But it feels more like an interrogation than anything else. I own a boutique in Atlanta, I say, forcing confidence into my voice. We specialize in unique custom designs. Oh, his brows lift with interest. What inspired you to get into fashion? I glance at Ethan, who nods slightly as if urging me on. I've always had a passion for creativity. Growing up, I loved sketching outfits for my dolls. I reply, adding a light laugh to ease the tension. It evolved from there. Ethan's mother leans forward, her eyes sparkling with genuine curiosity. Do you have any upcoming shows? We'd love to come and support you. We're preparing for a charity gala next month. It's true enough, though the circumstances around it have changed drastically since we signed our faux marriage agreement, and the fact my boutique was ransacked. What charity? His father interjects, skepticism lacing his voice. It's for local artists and entrepreneurs who need financial support, I explain quickly, wishing I had more details prepared. Very commendable, his father says, nodding but still sizing me up like I'm some sort of project he needs to critique. Dinner proceeds with a few more questions about my background and the boutique, while Ethan chimes in occasionally to add flavor to our story. Each exchange feels like walking a tightrope. One wrong move could send us crashing down. So how did you two meet? Ethan's mother asks with genuine enthusiasm as she passes the mashed potatoes. We met at another charity gala, actually, Ethan says smoothly without missing a beat. She happened to notice I was wearing one of her designs. We struck up a conversation from there. Ah, that sounds lovely, she exclaims, and it only intensifies the scrutiny from his father. And how long have you been together? He probes further, leaning back in his chair as if expecting something ridiculous from us. Ethan glances at me again. This is where we need to be synced up. About 6 months now, he replies confidently, though I can feel the tension rise in my chest. Rather abrupt for an engagement, do you think? Ethan's father says, and I swear I can feel Ethan's internal temperature skyrocket. What is it you always say, Dad? When you know, you know. He replies with a salacious grin. Touché, his father replies, taking a sip of his scotch. As dinner wraps up, I excuse myself to the restroom, needing a moment to collect my thoughts. The chatter from the dining room fades into the background as I splash cold water on my face. I step back into the dining room, and before I can return to my seat, Ethan's mother catches my arm gently. Amara, dear, could I steal you for a moment? Her tone is warm but insistent. I nod, curiosity bubbling beneath my nerves as she leads me into the adjoining sitting room. Once inside, she closes the door behind us and turns to me with an earnest expression. I just wanted to talk to you about Ethan. My stomach knots. Okay. He means so much to our family, she begins, her voice softening. I know he doesn't always show it, but he carries a lot of weight on his shoulders. We all worry about him. I swallow hard. I can see that. His father and I just want what's best for him, she continues. He's always been driven, but he needs someone who can really understand him, someone who can support him. I fidget with the hem of my blouse, guilt creeping in like an unwelcome guest. That's understandable. She pauses and looks directly into my eyes. Do you care for him? The question hits me like a punch to the gut. I search her face for any hint of judgment, but find only concern and hope. My voice falters as I wrestle with my feelings for Ethan. It's complicated. This fake engagement we've concocted feels all too real in moments like this. Listen, she says softly, taking a step closer. I know how his father can be, and I know my Ethan. If you're just doing this for convenience or out of desperation, it might hurt both of you in the long run. The weight of her words sinks in deeply, settling heavy on my chest. Guilt twists inside me at the thought of dragging Ethan into something built on lies when he deserves so much more. We're not doing this out of convenience, and I would never want to hurt him, I admit quietly. Her expression softens further as she nods in understanding. Just promise me you'll think carefully about what this all means, for both of you. I nod slowly, her sincerity washing over me like a wave, leaving behind uncertainty and reflection that tightens around my heart. All things aside, we're elated to have you join our family, she says with a less than convincing smile. Or maybe one of a mother that just doesn't want her son to get hurt.
Chapter 10. Ethan. I pull into the driveway of Amara's apartment, the engine humming softly as I switch it off. She steps outside, her hair catching the golden light of the late afternoon sun. The sight makes me smile, but I've got something much bigger in mind than just a casual hangout. "Hey," she says, tilting her head, curiosity dancing in her dark eyes. "What's up?" I lean against the car, crossing my arms. "You deserve a break after all that drama with my parents and your boutique." Her brow furrows slightly. "Ethan, I can't." "Just hear me out." I hold up a hand. "I've already talked to Sophie. She's got everything that could possibly go wrong covered. Let's just go away for the weekend. A little getaway to recharge and show everyone we're serious about this whole engagement thing." Amara's expression shifts from concern to surprise. "You mean like a vacation?" "Exactly." I step closer, lowering my voice as if sharing a secret. "Somewhere we can have fun and post all those couple goals pictures on social media. You know how it is." She bites her lip, considering. "But where? And what if someone recognizes us?" I shrug, trying to keep it casual while suppressing my excitement. "We'll pick a place that isn't too close to home. Maybe the beach or some cozy cabin in the mountains." Her eyes sparkle at the idea despite her initial hesitation. "I don't know." "You need this," I insist, leaning closer so she can feel my determination radiating off me. "You've been through hell with that vandalism and everything else going on with your boutique. Let me treat you." A smile creeps onto her face, softening her features. "All right, but only if you promise we're not bringing any stress along with us." "Deal." I grin back at her enthusiasm. Amara nods slowly, excitement beginning to flicker in her gaze like a flame catching wind. "Great. Pack your bags," I say as I turn toward the driver's side. The thrill of our plan buzzes in the air between us as she hurries inside to grab her things. I drive toward the beach, the sound of the waves crashing against the shore filtering through the open windows. Amara sits in the passenger seat, her laughter spilling out like sunlight as I crack jokes about our engagement story. "Okay, so what would be our backup story?" she asks, a playful glint in her eye. "Simple. We met at an axe-cutting competition where you swooned over my charm and rugged good looks." I smirk, glancing at her. "Oh, please." She rolls her eyes but can't hide her smile. "You have probably never held an axe in your entire life." I laugh, shaking my head. "I have actually, once in 5th grade when I did an English project on Hatchet by Gary Paulson." She chuckles, shaking her head in disbelief as we pull into a quaint little beachside bungalow. It's not luxurious, but it has that rustic charm I know she'll appreciate. We grab our bags and step into the house, which smells faintly of salt water and sun. The view from the windows is stunning, sand stretching endlessly with waves licking the shore. As I drop my suitcase onto the bed, I can't help but glance at Amara. Her face lights up as she steps to the window, taking in the scenery. "This is amazing. I can't believe we actually did this." Something stirs inside me, an unfamiliar warmth as I watch her revel in simple joy. Her laughter echoes in my ears, and I feel a strange sense of satisfaction. I figured you could use a change of scenery. You can only watch paint dry at the boutique for so long before going insane, I say, leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed. She turns to me with that spark still dancing in her eyes. And you? What's your angle here? I shrug, but beneath my nonchalance lies something deeper, a flicker of truth lurking just out of reach. I guess it beats attending another Wednesday dinner with my parents. Amara raises an eyebrow. I like the way you think, Caldwell. As we settle into our respectable rooms, yes, I take in consideration her request for personal space in the beginning of this arrangement. But when I start planning our evening, something shifts. This time it feels less like a facade and more like something real. I pull on my swim trunks, the salty air rushing through the open window. Amara leans against the wall, her eyes wide with excitement as she flips through her phone, checking out nearby snorkeling spots. Okay, I found this place a few minutes down the road, she says, glancing up with that infectious enthusiasm. We have to check it out. Lead the way. I grab my gear and follow her out the door. The sun beats down as we stroll along the beach, sand slipping between our toes. Amara's laughter dances over the sound of crashing waves, lifting my mood higher with every step. We rent a couple of snorkels and fins from a small shack that smells like sunscreen and fried fish. We find a perfect spot on the sand, tucked between two rocky outcroppings, the sun casting a warm glow over everything. I drop my gear, feeling the soft grains beneath my feet as Amara unravels her beach towel. All right, she says, a playful smile spreading across her face. I'm ready to dive in. She turns away from me, and I can't help but watch as she pulls off her bathing suit cover. My mouth goes dry as the fabric falls away, revealing her in a tiny red string bikini. It clings to her curves like it was made just for her, her thick thighs morphing into a delicious full ass that makes my pulse race. I can already feel the tent in my swim trunks. Damn. I fight to keep my composure, forcing myself to look anywhere else but at her body. It's like trying to look away from a train wreck. Every instinct tells me to stare. The sun highlights the smoothness of her skin, glinting off the little droplets of water that cling to her. Ethan, you coming? She glances back at me, and I can see the teasing spark in her eyes. The way she stands there so confidently, completely unaware of the effect she has on me. It's infuriating and intoxicating all at once. Yeah, just give me a second. I manage to stammer out while inwardly cursing myself for not being able to maintain my cool. Her laughter floats over the sound of crashing waves as she rolls her eyes playfully before plunging into the water without waiting for me. The sight of her diving under makes my heart race even faster. I shake my head and try to focus on something else. Anything else. But it's no use. As I pull off my own cover-up and slip into the cool water, I can still feel heat radiating off me where she stood just moments ago. I try to adjust myself discreetly, hoping the swim trunks will hide any lingering effects of seeing Amara in that bikini. Ready? She adjusts her mask, looking at me like I'm supposed to be an expert at this. Born ready, I reply, trying to match her energy. We wade further into the water, each step sending little ripples around us. The coolness hits my skin like a shockwave, but feels refreshing in the heat. As we swim out, colorful fish dart beneath us, weaving in and out of coral reefs. Amara's eyes light up when she spots a school of angelfish gliding past us. Look, she points excitedly before diving under the surface. I watch her dive gracefully below me. Her sleek form disappears into the vibrant blue, while I take a moment to catch my breath above water. This is what I needed. No expectations or family drama weighing on me for once. After surfacing again, I follow her lead, diving beneath the waves to join her. The underwater world opens up like a different dimension. Sunlight filters through the surface while coral blooms around us in colors I didn't know existed. Amara swims beside me, bubbling with laughter as we both fumble through our snorkeling techniques. Don't swallow any salt water, she teases through her mask. I roll my eyes but can't help grinning as we explore together. Each splash and kick brings us closer. It's not just about pretending anymore. We're here for ourselves, lost in this beautiful escape from reality. As we emerge from beneath the waves, Amara treads water beside me, pushing wet hair from her face with a playful grin. You survived. Not bad for your first time. Hey, I smirk back at her while adjusting my mask. I'm lucky to have such an excellent teacher. We return to the bungalow after our snorkeling adventure and hop in the showers to clean up for dinner. We both worked up an appetite snorkeling, and Amara suggested pizza and beer, and I, of course, was all for it. The delivery guy just dropped it off a little while ago, and I'm waiting for her out on the deck. Look at that sunset, she murmurs, glancing up at the sky streaked with hues of orange and pink. I turn to watch it too, but find myself drawn back to her face. There's something different in her expression, something raw and real. It's stunning, I say softly. Amara meets my gaze, her dark eyes shimmering with something that sends a jolt through me. The air around us feels charged as if time stands still for just a heartbeat. Ethan, she begins, her voice barely above a whisper. I step closer, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. Amara. She bites her lip, a gesture that sends my thoughts spiraling. And before I can think better of it, I lean in. Our lips meet softly at first, testing waters both familiar and foreign. But when she kisses me back with that spark of urgency, everything shifts. The world around us disappears. It's just me and Amara caught in this magnetic pull. My hands find their way to her waist as I deepen the kiss, feeling every inch of her pressed against me. Her fingers tangle in my hair, pulling me closer still as we lose ourselves in each other's warmth. The weight of our situation melts away. Our fake engagement, family expectations. It all feels trivial compared to this moment. But then reality creeps back in like an unwelcome guest knocking at the door. I pull away just enough to catch my breath and see her face flushed with exhilaration, and something else lurking beneath the surface. Wow, she breathes out softly, her lips still tinged with mine. I run a hand through my hair, trying to rein myself in. Yeah. Wow. The intensity between us hangs thick in the air as we both realize how close we came to crossing an unspoken line. Maybe we should think about this. It could complicate things, she suggests gently. Yet there's an underlying desire that dances between us. Right. I nod reluctantly, but can't shake the taste of what just happened from my mind as our breaths mingle in the twilight air.
Chapter 11. Amara. I stand in front of the mirror, adjusting my dress for the third time. The soft fabric hugs my curves just right, but it's not the outfit that has my stomach flipping. Today marks a new chapter for my boutique. It's a soft reopening, my restructuring and rebranding event, so to speak. Sophie and I contacted a handful of our most loyal customers and invited them to browse the new shop and designs before we were open to the public. I've spent weeks planning every detail, but one thing nags at me: Ethan. I glance at my phone, hesitating. He's been a steady presence through all the chaos. He helped clean up after the vandalism, supported me during those tough dinners with his family, done his fair share of reorganizing and manual labor for the boutique, and I can't shake the feeling that our partnership has evolved beyond just business. Ugh, just ask him, I mutter to myself. I type out a quick message. Hey Ethan, do you plan on coming to the soft opening tonight? Seconds feel like hours as I wait for his response. My heart races when my phone buzzes. Wouldn't miss it for the world. What time should I be there? A rush of relief washes over me. I quickly text back, 6 p.m. sharp. I spend the next few hours prepping everything. The lights dim just enough to create a cozy atmosphere. Racks filled with fresh designs waiting to be unveiled. As the clock ticks closer to 6, nerves flutter in my chest again. When he walks in, looking effortlessly handsome in that tailored suit, my breath catches. "Wow," he says, taking in the transformed space. "This looks amazing all put together and not in towers of cardboard boxes." "Thanks," I say with a sincere smile. "It's been a lot of work, of course you know that. You've spent about as much time here as I have." He steps closer, examining one of my new designs on display, a flowing dress splashed with vibrant colors. "You really have an eye for this." "I just try to create things that speak to me," I reply, feeling a heat rise within me at his compliment. Dealing with the break-in was a dark time for me, but then I started to look on the brighter side of things, and I think that's what is reflected in this line. I delicately handle the sleeve of a bright yellow baby doll dress like a proud mother. Ethan glances around before fixing his gaze on me again. "So what's next on your agenda? A runway show? Paris? France?" "Something like that." I smirk playfully. "Maybe an exclusive line with your name attached?" He chuckles softly, but there's something serious in his eyes now. "Are you ready for this?" The question hangs between us, as if it carries more weight than just tonight's event. "I think so." Ethan takes a step closer again, lowering his voice slightly as if sharing a secret meant only for us. "I'll be right here every step of the way." The soft hum of conversation fills the boutique as customers filter in, admiring my latest designs. I watch them with a mix of pride and anxiety, still buzzing from Ethan's earlier compliment. Just as I settle into a rhythm, Sophie bursts through the door, her energy a whirlwind. "Mar, sorry I'm late," she calls, tossing her bag onto a nearby chair. "Traffic was hell." I flash her a grateful smile. "No worries, just glad you're here. We've got a crowd." Sophie dives right in, effortlessly engaging customers while keeping the atmosphere light. I catch snippets of her chatter as I float between racks, checking on everyone and answering questions. "Try this on," she insists to a hesitant customer, holding up an extravagant dress. "Trust me, it'll look amazing." As the girl heads to the fitting room, Sophie leans closer to me, her voice low and teasing. "So, how's it going with Mr. Tall, dark and handsome?" She wiggles her eyebrows. My cheeks warm at the thought of Ethan. "It's complicated." "Complicated? Please." She crosses her arms with a smirk. "You two have more chemistry than any of these fabrics." I roll my eyes, but can't help smiling. "We're just pretending for now, keeping up appearances." "Oh, come on," she nudges me playfully. "The way he looks at you, that isn't just for show." "I don't know, Soph," I say, fiddling with the hem of my dress. "Sure you don't." She raises an eyebrow skeptically. "How do you feel about him?" "I don't know that either." The words slip out before I can filter them. My heart races as I consider the truth behind them. "He's different than I expected." Sophie studies my face for a moment before speaking again, serious now. "Are you sure this fake marriage is all there is? It seems like there might be more beneath the surface." I open my mouth to respond, but get interrupted by a burst of laughter from customers in another section of the store. "Let's just focus on the task at hand," I say instead, forcing my attention back to work. Sophie doesn't drop it easily, though. She flashes me an inquisitive look before turning back to help another customer try on a jacket. As I scan the room filled with bustling patrons and bright colors around me, something gnaws at my thoughts, an itch that won't go away about Ethan and what we've built so far together amidst this chaos. The last customer drifts out of the boutique, leaving behind a wave of satisfaction that sweeps through me. I glance at the empty racks and the scattered fabric swatches, my heart still racing from the success of the night. Cheers to a fantastic opening. I raise my glass, and Ethan and Sophie clink theirs against mine. Here's to you, Amara, Ethan says, his blue eyes sparkling in the soft light of the boutique. You pulled this off beautifully. I can't help but smile back at him. Thanks. I couldn't have done it without you two. Sophie sloshes her wine as she leans in closer. Okay, but let's get down to business. She glances between us with that mischievous grin. So how are you two really doing? The whole playing house thing, it's gotta be a little steamy behind closed doors, right? My cheeks heat at her words. I take a sip of my wine, searching for a way to steer the conversation elsewhere. Ethan raises an eyebrow, a smirk playing on his lips. Very forward, aren't we, Sophie? Perhaps. She laughs, her tone dripping with sarcasm. But come on, you can't tell me there hasn't been any sexual tension. I feel my heart race as I shift uncomfortably in my seat. Sophie doesn't hold back when she senses vulnerability. No makeout sessions? No playing dress up? Or dress down, rather? She wiggles her freshly done eyebrows as she presses on, undeterred by Ethan's cool demeanor. He shoots her a sharp look before turning back to me. Let's not dig into the personal details right now. Sophie blinks in surprise at his sudden seriousness, but doesn't back down entirely. Aw, come on. Just one juicy detail? A girl needs some gossip. Ethan leans forward slightly, his tone firm but not harsh. What Amara and I do or don't do in private is our business. I'm sure she will tell you when she feels like she's ready. I appreciate his protectiveness, even as I feel exposed under Sophie's playful interrogation. It surprises me how much I enjoy Ethan taking charge like this, his authority wrapping around me like a warm blanket amidst Sophie's teasing. All right, fine. She relents with mock disappointment, but eyes Ethan knowingly. I take another sip of wine to steady myself, feeling the warmth of Ethan's presence beside me. The way he defended our private space has my heart racing, and I can't shake the effect he has on me. It's ridiculous how one protective gesture can turn my stomach into a whirlwind. He leans back slightly, his posture relaxed yet commanding. The tailored suit fits him like a second skin, accentuating his athletic build and that strong jawline. My gaze lingers on the way his dark hair brushes against his forehead, and I find myself imagining running my fingers through it. Completely inappropriate thoughts for this moment. Sophie continues her playful banter, but my focus shifts solely to Ethan. The tension in the air feels charged. It hums with unspoken words and what-ifs. His blue eyes lock onto mine, and I can't help but notice the way they spark with amusement at Sophie's antics, but also with something deeper, something more intense. Hey, he says suddenly, pulling me out of my thoughts. You all right? I nod quickly, too flustered to respond properly. Yeah, just taking it all in. He studies me for a beat longer, before that trademark smirk returns to his lips. You sure? You look a little flushed. Me? Flushed? I laugh lightly, trying to dismiss it, but inside I'm burning up. His concern feels so genuine, it's hard not to feel drawn in by him. Just admit you're horny, Amara, damn. Sophie teases again, elbowing me playfully. I shield my face from embarrassment and blow it off, but the truth is undeniable. I am attracted to him in ways I didn't anticipate when we first met under such dire circumstances. He isn't just handsome, he's magnetic in that quiet way that commands attention without trying. As I watch him talk with Sophie now, his confidence radiating, I feel an urge to reach out and touch him, maybe just a hand on his arm or a gentle squeeze of reassurance, because every moment spent with him pulls me deeper into this unexpected connection. Ethan catches my eye again, an amused glint there as if he senses my thoughts spiraling into dangerous territory. My pulse quickens under his gaze, a heady mix of excitement and caution brewing inside me. What is happening? This isn't supposed to be how our arrangement goes, fake marriage or not. But being here next to him as he defends our boundaries only makes me want to lean closer and explore this undeniable chemistry simmering beneath the surface between us.
Chapter 12. Ethan. I can't shake the pull Amara has on me. Watching her in that boutique, hands moving confidently over fabric, a smile dancing on her lips, it ignites something deep inside. She exudes this fierce energy, sexy and captivating. The way she blushed when Sophie brought up intimacy still lingers in my mind. Did I read that right? I roll my shoulders back, pushing the thoughts aside. Still, I can't help but wonder if there's something more beneath her stubborn exterior. As I was leaving the boutique, I told her that if she was feeling up to it, to come by the penthouse later, that I had a small gift for her. The way she looked at me when I suggested coming back to my place, it felt electric. I take a breath, staring at the city skyline from the window. The city hums with life below me, but all I can think about is Amara's laugh and how incredible it'd be to see her naked and writhing under me. I shake my head, trying to dispel the images flashing through my mind. Her skin against mine, the weight of her body fitting perfectly beneath me as I claim her entirely. The doorbell shatters the moment like glass shattering against concrete. My heart skips as I stride toward the door, adrenaline racing through my veins. Did she take me up on the offer? Or is it just some delivery? I swing the door open, and there she is. Amara, looking like a vision. Her hair tumbles down her shoulders, catching the light, and that outfit hugs her curves just right. She's slightly out of breath, cheeks flushed, and I can't help but smile. "Hey," I say, stepping aside. "Come on in." "Hey," she replies as she brushes past me. The scent of her perfume fills the air, sweet yet somehow bold. I close the door behind her. "You want some wine?" "Sure." She nods, glancing around the living room, her nerves on full display. I grab 2 glasses from the kitchen and pour a generous splash of red into each. When I return to the living room, she's settled on the sofa, looking seemingly more relaxed. I hand her a glass. "I just wanted you to know," I say, raising my glass. "I'm proud of you for tackling everything with the boutique." "Thank you. That means a lot." Her voice is soft but steady. She takes a sip and locks her gaze onto mine. Something shifts in the air between us. "I got you something small," I say, feeling a rush of excitement as I head back to the kitchen counter. "What? You didn't have to do that," she calls after me. "It's not a big deal." I retrieve a small box wrapped in simple brown paper and return to where she sits. Her eyes widen with curiosity as I hand it over. She unwraps it slowly, revealing a small velvet box. With nimble fingers, she pops it open and gasps softly at what's inside. A delicate necklace with a glass pendant shimmering gently under the lights. "This is beautiful," she exclaims, lifting it closer to inspect it. "That's actually broken glass from your boutique," I explain, my voice steady but my heart racing. "I wanted you to know that something beautiful can come from wreckage." Amara's eyes glisten with emotion as she stares at the pendant. The weight of what we've been through hangs between us like an unspoken promise. Without warning, she leans forward and kisses me, softly at first, but then deepens as if letting all her feelings spill out into that moment. YouTube had to pull the plug. The sparks between Amara and me are just too intense. If you're dying to know what happens next, check out Love by Design at tylawalker.com. Use SAVE40 for 40% off all unabridged content. Listen ad-free and uninterrupted. Our story is waiting for you. You won't know what hit you, baby. I'm going to take you, break you, and make you mine. And when I'm done, you're...
Now hold on just a minute.
What?
I got something to say.
What's the meaning of this?
Now you may be some fine-looking white boy,
Got that right, baby. It takes hard work.
and you might got the money,
Fat stacks, baby, to spoil you with.
but that doesn't mean I'm going to give it up to you without a fight.
A fight?
You want some limp wilting flowers? Go to historical romance, baby. But you want sassy and spicy strong black queens that tame their alpha male bad boys?
I think our listeners do.
Then you go on and look at Miss Tyla's Bougie Brides and Billionaire's audio bundle.
50 hours of me whispering the most romantic things in your ears. Fake marriages, alpha male billionaires, strong black women, steamy scenes that will make your eyes roll back. And everything wrapped up in a happily ever after that will put you in an afterglow.
Use code SAVE40 to get 40% off this bundle and any other digital product in Miss Tyla's store.
Unabridged and uncut.
Just like you,
You're gonna have to find out.
Tyla Walker Romances. Escape your life with sassy romance. Chapter 13. Amara. I stir the pot on the stove, watching the sauce bubble and simmer. The aroma of garlic and herbs fills the penthouse, wrapping around me like a warm embrace. I can't help but smile as I think about how I've spent nearly every night here since that first kiss led to so much more. Ethan had to run into work for a quick meeting, leaving me alone in his sleek kitchen. I don't mind. It feels like home now. Each moment we steal together feels electric. Those little kisses that sneak in between laughter. His hand brushing mine when he thinks I'm not looking. My heart races at the thought of him. I pour the sauce over some pasta and set the table with care, envisioning his reaction when he sees what I've made. This little domestic scene sparks a flutter of happiness in my chest. The doorbell rings, startling me from my daydream. My heart jumps into my throat as I wipe my hands on a dish towel, hurrying to answer it. I swing open the door, ready to greet Ethan with a teasing remark about being late for dinner. But instead, I'm met by his mother. Her perfectly styled hair and tailored suit instantly throw me off balance. "Amara," she says, her tone smooth yet authoritative. "Can I come in?" I blink, caught off guard by her presence. The warmth from the kitchen dissipates as uncertainty floods in. Hi, of course." I manage, forcing a smile that feels strained. Her eyes scan the penthouse behind me, taking in the evidence of my life here with Ethan, the scattered shoes near the door, and my favorite sweater draped over the back of a chair. "Is Ethan home?" She doesn't wait for an answer before stepping inside, gliding past me like she owns the place. "Actually, he's at a meeting." I try to keep my voice steady as anxiety creeps in. She crosses her arms, looking at me with a mix of scrutiny and something else. Concern? Disapproval? My stomach tightens as I watch her move around the room, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. I know she disapproves of how slowly we're moving with the wedding planning. She wants a grand affair, something to flaunt in front of their high society friends. And here I am, just trying to figure out if we should still be doing this at all. "What are you cooking?" Her voice cuts through my thoughts like a knife. I force a smile, feeling like I'm on display. "Just some ziti. It's Ethan's favorite." "How sweet of you." She tilts her head slightly, as if sizing me up. She takes a step closer, her gaze piercing into mine. "You know, Amara, I expected to see more progress by now." My mind races for something to say that won't set her off. "We've been busy with work and adjusting to everything." "Adjusting?" She raises an eyebrow, her lips tightening into a thin line. "A marriage is not something you can simply adjust to when it suits you." Her words sting, and I swallow hard, grappling with the weight of her expectations pressing down on my chest. The way she looks at me makes it clear she thinks I'm unworthy or unprepared for Ethan. I watch her pace the room, her sharp heels echoing against the hardwood floors. My nerves are on edge and I feel like I'm under a microscope. Her eyes settle back on me. and for a moment, the room is silent, except for the faint bubbling of the sauce in the kitchen. I'm still not convinced that this marriage isn't some elaborate scheme, she starts, her voice calm but steely. I blink, taken aback by her bluntness. What do you mean? I know my son, and I know he's a little rough around the edges, but I know his heart. And any other woman would be immersing herself in dress fittings and cake tasting, counting down the days until they were husband and wife. I look away, feeling victimized by her scrutiny. She sighs, her gaze unwavering. A son with no wife is better than a heartbroken son with a divorced one. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Before I can respond, she reaches into her purse and pulls out a checkbook. My breath catches as she writes something down and tears off the check with a crisp rip. She holds it out to me, her expression unreadable. If this is what I think it is, then this should be enough to solve your financial issues and get your boutique back on solid ground. I stare at the check in her hand, my mind racing. The number on it is staggering. More than enough to pull me out of debt and secure my boutique's future. My heart pounds in my chest as I look up at her, struggling to find my voice. You want me to leave Ethan, I manage to say, my voice barely above a whisper. She nods, her eyes cold and calculating. Yes, take this money and walk away from him. It's better for everyone involved. The room feels like it's closing in on me. The offer dangles in front of me like a lifeline, and yet, it's also a noose tightening around everything I've built with Ethan. My thoughts swirl in a chaotic mess as I grapple with the weight of her proposition. I don't know what to say, I stammer, my hands trembling slightly. Just do it, Amara, she replies smoothly, placing the check on the table between us. Consider what's best for you and for Ethan. I stand there staring at the check on the table, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. My heart pounds in my chest, each beat echoing louder than the last. The room seems to close in around me, the walls pressing down, suffocating. As I try to make sense of her offer, I feel something warm trickling down my cheeks. Tears. I hadn't even realized I was crying. I swipe at them with the back of my hand, but more follow. I take a deep breath, trying to steady myself. This isn't just about money or my boutique anymore. It's about Ethan, about us. I look up at her, meeting her cold gaze with one of my own. No, I say, my voice firmer than I expect. I can't do that. She raises an eyebrow, clearly not expecting this response. You can't? I have real feelings for Ethan, I continue, feeling a strange sense of clarity wash over me as I speak the words out loud. I refuse to abandon him. Her expression hardens. I sure hope these feelings are enough to save your boutique. The boutique isn't my main concern anymore, I reply, surprised by my own determination. Your son is... She looks at me for a long moment, as if assessing whether to push further. Finally, she straightens her posture and nods curtly. Very well. You know how to reach me if you change your mind. Without another word, she turns and heads for the door, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. As the door closes behind her, I feel a weight lift off my shoulders, a weight I hadn't fully realized was there until it was gone. The check still lies on the table between us, but it feels like a relic from another life, a life where my feelings for Ethan were just part of a plan. I wipe away the last of my tears and take a deep breath. This is real now. Whatever happens next is because it's what I want. The aroma from the kitchen pulls me back into the moment, reminding me of the dinner I've prepared for Ethan. He'll be home soon, and when he gets here, I'll tell him everything. For now, though, I focus on setting the table with renewed purpose, because this is our life now, and no amount of money can buy what we're building together.
Chapter 14. Ethan. I push the door open, the scent of garlic and rosemary hitting me like a warm embrace. It's been a long day and the aroma promises comfort. I drop my briefcase by the door and loosen my tie. Amara walks up. She's in an apron, hair pulled back, a few strands escaping to frame her face. "Hey there," she says, as she approaches me with arms wide for a hug. My phone buzzes in my pocket. "1 second," I say, holding up a finger and fishing it out. The screen flashes with Mom's name. I've got to take this. It's Mom. Amara nods, seemingly taken off guard, as I go back into the hallway and shut the door quietly behind me. "Hey, Mom." "Ethan, darling, how's everything going?" Her voice is chipper but laced with the usual undercurrent of scrutiny. "Pretty great," I reply honestly. "How's the wedding planning coming?" she asks casually. It feels more like an interrogation than small talk. "It's going well," I lie smoothly. Amara's really on top of it. That's good to hear," she responds, seemingly satisfied. "Are you and Amara free for dinner next Wednesday? Your father and I would love to have you over." I hesitate for a second, but know better than to decline. "Yeah, we'll be there." "Wonderful. We'll see you then." "All right, Mom. Love you." "Love you too, Ethan." She hangs up. I slide the phone back into my pocket and re-enter the house. Amara looks up from stirring a pot on the stove, a look I haven't ever seen before marring her face. "What was that about?" she asks. I'm caught off guard by her tone. Nothing really," I reply with a smile, moving closer to her. "Just Mom checking in." "Oh, I'm sure," she says with an eye roll. And I suddenly feel like I'm the odd man out of some bad inside joke. "What's going on?" I ask, genuinely concerned. "Was this your idea? Did she put you up to this?" Amara's voice is shaky, but anger burns in her eyes. "What the hell are you talking about?" I ask, my irritation matching hers. "Put me up to what?" Her grip tightens around the wooden spoon she's holding. "Your mother came here today, Ethan. She offered me money to leave you." My jaw drops. "She did what?" "She offered me enough cash to fix all my problems if I just walked away from you. Like some kind of bribe," she snaps. "Take a look for yourself. The check is right there on the kitchen island." I walk to the island and notice the check sitting there, just as she said. I take a step back, feeling like I've been punched in the gut. I had no idea she was going to do that. "Lies!" Amara shouts, throwing the spoon into the sink with a loud clatter. "If you don't want to be with me, then just say it. Drop the act now, and I'll go on my way. I don't need your money or your mother's damn money." Her words hit me like a freight train. I can see the hurt behind her anger, and it stings knowing my mother caused this. "Amara, I swear I didn't know," I say, stepping closer but keeping my hands at my sides, not wanting to invade her space if she's not ready for it. She looks at me, searching for any hint of deceit in my eyes. Then why did she come here? Why would she do that? "I don't know," I admit honestly. "But I'll find out." She shakes her head, still not convinced. "I'm sorry," I say earnestly, "for what she did, and for how it made you feel." Amara crosses her arms over her chest, taking a deep breath as if trying to calm herself down. The kitchen feels smaller now, suffocating under the weight of our tension. "I'm going to talk to her," I assure her, "and make sure she knows that what she did was unacceptable." I take a deep breath, trying to find the right words. The air in the kitchen feels heavy, charged with unspoken feelings and tension. I can't let this moment slip away. "Amara," I begin, my voice steady but soft. She turns to face me, her eyes searching mine for some truth. "I need you to know something," I continue, stepping closer. "This whole arrangement may have started as a way to solve both our problems, but it's become so much more for me." She watches me carefully, her expression unreadable. "I've fallen for you," I admit, my heart pounding in my chest. "I didn't expect it, and maybe I tried to fight it at first, but I can't anymore. I love you, Amara. Her eyes widen slightly and she takes a step back, her hand flying to her mouth. The silence stretches between us again, but this time it's filled with possibility rather than tension. You love me? She finally asks, her voice barely above a whisper. I nod, not trusting myself to speak without my voice breaking. A slow smile spreads across her face, and she takes a step forward, closing the distance between us. Ethan, she says softly, her hand reaching out to touch mine. I feel the same way about you. Relief floods through me as I take her hand in mine. You do? She nods, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Yes, she says firmly. I've been fighting it too because of everything that's been happening, but I can't deny it anymore. I love you. Hearing those words from her lips feels like a weight lifting off my shoulders. I pull her into my arms, holding her tightly against me. Amara's eyes lock onto mine, her expression a mix of determination and desire. Without a word, she grabs my hand and leads me toward the bedroom. The urgency in her touch sends a jolt through me, igniting every nerve. YouTube couldn't handle the passion between Amara and Ethan. It's too intense. Want the full, uncut story? Visit TylaWalker.com and get Love by Design with promo code. Save 40% off all unabridged content. Immerse yourself in their story with no ads, no interruptions. Ready to experience their love? You think you can catch me? You think you can tame me?
Oh, I know I can. And you know it too, baby.
I gotta tell you, you're not the first to try.
But don't worry, baby. I'll be the last.
With sass like that, maybe I'll be the one that needs to tame you.
Let's cut to the chase, big boy. What you selling me?
Your appetite is big AF. I have just the thing that'll satisfy you.
Oh, really? And what's that?
Over 120 hours of romance audiobooks. Brought to you by Tyla Walker Romances in the Big AF audio bundle.
120 hours? That sounds amazing.
Your knees won't work afterwards if I do my job right.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
Well, I can keep this promise. Because these audiobooks are unabridged with all the spicy scenes that will make you put your earbuds on. You know, Tyla can get freaky because she marked the bundle down by 69% for a limited time.
I can't wait to take this bundle for a ride.
Visit TylaWalker.com and get this audio bundle. Just don't start listening if you're going to be cooking dinner. Because you might just forget to feed your family.
TylaWalker.com. Escape your life with Tyla.
Chapter 15. Amara. The early morning sun casts a golden hue over the freshly polished windows of my boutique. My heart races as I turn the key and push open the doors. The scent of roses greets me as I stare at the dozen roses perched on the counter that Ethan had delivered yesterday. I step aside, allowing the waiting crowd to flood in. Journalists with cameras, curious new customers, and familiar faces all clamor to get a glimpse of my latest collection. Their excitement buzzes through the air, palpable and electric. A woman in a sleek black dress approaches one of my displays, her fingers grazing the hem of a vibrant red dress. She turns to her friend with wide eyes. "This is stunning! I've never seen anything like it." "Thank you," I interject, unable to keep the smile off my face. It's one of my favorite pieces. A cluster of reporters huddles near the entrance, snapping photos and taking notes. One of them waves me over, microphone in hand. "Amara, how does it feel to have your boutique back on its feet?" "It feels incredible," I reply, feeling the weight of their attention settle on me. I couldn't have done it without the support from so many people. I catch sight of Ethan in the crowd, looking dashing as ever in his tailored suit. By yours truly. He gives me a small nod and an encouraging smile, making my heart flutter. His presence is like a solid anchor amidst the chaos. One by one, Customers approach me with compliments and questions about my designs. Each interaction feels like validation for all the hard work and sleepless nights I've poured into this moment. A young woman with bright pink hair picks up a skirt adorned with intricate beadwork. This is amazing craftsmanship. How long did it take you? Hours, I admit with a laugh, but it was worth every second. As the day progresses, I notice familiar faces from Ethan's world mingling with my regular customers. Their genuine interest in my work is humbling and exhilarating. Near the back of the boutique, I see my mother and sister browsing a display together. My sister catches my eye and waves enthusiastically while my mom gives me a proud smile. Amongst all the madness that was the break-in, and of course the whirlwind that is Ethan and I somehow forgot to mention to the most important people in my life that someone else has joined their ranks. Ethan graciously offered to purchase their plane tickets, and we flew them down here for the grand opening, and for them to meet the love of my life, of course. I take a moment to soak it all in, the lively chatter, the admiration for my designs, and the sense of accomplishment that fills every corner of this space. The only people not here today are Ethan's parents, a fact that doesn't go unnoticed by the press. Ethan decided to cut off contact with his family after their relentless meddling, choosing to run his business on his own terms. I spot Ethan by the coffee bar, chatting with one of my regular customers. His laugh rings out, deep and genuine, and it brings a smile to my face. Seeing him here, supporting me despite everything he's dealing with, makes my heart swell with pride. He catches me looking and makes his way over, weaving through the crowd with an easy grace. "This place looks amazing," he says as he reaches me. "You've really outdone yourself." "Thank you," I reply, feeling warmth spread through me at his praise. "I couldn't have done it without you." He shrugs it off. "You had it in you all along. I just gave a little nudge." "Still," I insist, touching his arm lightly, "it means the world to me." He glances around the boutique, taking in the vibrant atmosphere. "Your mom and sister look like they're having a blast." "They are," I say with a smile. "They've been so supportive through all of this." Ethan's eyes soften as he looks at me. "You deserve every bit of success coming your way, Amara." I squeeze his hand in silent agreement. The journey hasn't been easy for either of us, but standing here together amidst the success we've fought so hard for feels like victory. The crowd shifts around us as more people filter in and out of the boutique. My mother waves me over from across the room, pointing to a particularly lavish dress she's fallen in love with. "Go," Ethan urges with a chuckle. "Your fans await." I give him one last grateful smile before heading over to my family. The day is busy and chaotic, but knowing Ethan is here with me makes everything feel just right. I step up onto the small stage we've set up at the back of the boutique, the buzz of conversation dying down as everyone turns to face me. My heart races, but it's a good kind of nervous energy, excitement mingled with pride. "Thank you all for coming today," I begin, my voice steady despite the emotions swirling inside me. This boutique means everything to me, and seeing all of you here supporting it is beyond words. There's a ripple of applause, and I catch sight of my mom wiping away a tear. I take a deep breath, soaking in the warmth and support radiating from the crowd. "I couldn't have done this alone," I continue. "There are so many people who've helped me along the way, my family, friends, and..." My eyes find Ethan in the crowd, his gaze locked on mine with an intensity that makes my pulse quicken. He starts making his way toward me, cutting through the sea of faces with that effortless grace I've come to love. "And Ethan," I finish, my voice barely above a whisper. The applause swells again as he steps up onto the stage beside me. He takes my hand in his, lifting it to his lips and kissing it gently. The simple gesture sends shivers down my spine. Before I can fully process what's happening, Ethan reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small velvet box. My breath catches as he opens it to reveal a stunning diamond ring. Time seems to slow down as he slides it onto my finger. He doesn't say a word, but he doesn't need to. His eyes convey everything: his love, his commitment, his desire to make this real. Tears blur my vision as I look at him. Unable to find my voice, the room erupts into cheers and applause once more, but all I can focus on is Ethan and the overwhelming emotions coursing through me. He leans in close, his forehead resting against mine. "Amara," he murmurs softly, "you know what this means." I nod slowly, a smile breaking through the tears. "Yes," I whisper back. "Yes." The next moment, my lips crash into Ethan's in a passionate kiss. The crowd erupts into applause and cheers, but all I can focus on is the warmth of his lips and the solid feel of his arms around me. From somewhere in the crowd, Sophie's voice cuts through the noise. "Now, if this was the kind of details you would have told me in the beginning, then I wouldn't have to press so hard." Laughter ripples through the room, easing the intensity of the moment. I pull back slightly to catch my breath, resting my forehead against Ethan's. His blue eyes are filled with so much love and sincerity that it takes my breath away. "I love you so much, Amara," he murmurs, his voice thick with emotion. "I can't wait to spend the rest of my life proving it to you." In this moment, something shifts inside me. For so long, the boutique was everything to me. The dream I'd built from scratch. My reason for pushing forward even when things got tough. But looking into Ethan's eyes now, I realize there's something even more important. If it came down to it, if I had to choose between this beautiful space filled with my creations and a life with Ethan, I'd give up the boutique in a heartbeat. The thought surprises me, but it feels right. Ethan is my future now, and with him by my side, we can build anything together, maybe even a family. The crowd continues to cheer as Ethan kisses me again, softer this time, but just as full of promise. When we finally pull apart, I glance over at Sophie. She's grinning from ear to ear, giving me a thumbs up. "We can talk about this later over wine," she calls out with a wink. I laugh through my tears and nod. "Definitely." Ethan wraps an arm around my waist, pulling me close as we turn to face our friends and family. The love and support radiating from them fills me with warmth and certainty. Together with Ethan, I know we can face anything that comes our way. This moment marks not just the reopening of my boutique, but the beginning of a new chapter in our lives. One filled with love, partnership, and endless possibilities. And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
This is it, baby. This is what you can get me that'll make me happy.
You know I'll get you whatever you want. All you need to do is ask me and I'll give it to you.
This ain't just it. This is everything I could ever want.
Now I'm curious. What does a strong, sassy woman like yourself want so badly?
Baby, you know what I want?
I can't wait to hear.
The Big Baddie Bundle from Tyla Walker. It has everything I need.
20 ebooks with over 1 million words of sassy romance and spice that'll keep you on your toes.
10 audiobooks containing over 60 hours of that seductive voice telling me naughty things all night long.
You don't need an audiobook for that, baby. Right here.
You may be fine and all, but no one tells it like the way Miss Tyla does. And I need her in my life.
The Big Baddie Bundle is everything you need. You can get it for 80% off.
Go to TylaWalker.com to browse the bundles that earn you the best deals.
It's time you treat yourself. Because you deserve it.
Escape your life with Miss Tyla.